Russian phone call.
That's how Russians say hello.
This is how
Russians say hello.
It's like they're.
You call a Russian house, the guy's gonna pick up. Allo. Just to set the tone.
Yes. Yes.
Because that works. Think about it. Who's calling?
Yeah.
Either a bill collector.
Yes.
Someone who wants to annoy you about something or ask you for a favor.
Yeah.
Right. Right. Someone who wants to talk to your daughter. Right. You want to set the tone.
That's right.
Telemarketer.
Don't play no games.
Nope. That was like Mr. Robinson's Neighborhood. That skit, Eddie Murphy skit.
Yeah.
Somebody knocks on the door, you gotta be like, man, who is it?
Who is it?
Who is it, man?
He like stole the TV. He's like, is it because I'm? It's like I'm not a racist. It's like, oh no, he points to he had a display on the television. You're a racist. Anyway.
Welcome to Mr. Robinson's Neighborhood. Hello, children. I think he said, no, he didn't say hello, children, right?
I could play the thing. Hold on a second. Hold on. Here. Mr. You want to play the newest one? The one from like his return?
He did it. He did that skit when he came back.
He did. Here, listen to this. This is the 2019 version of Mr. Robinson's Neighborhood. Here. I'll play it for you. Just 1 second. Oh, oops, I gotta unplug the...
Dude, Ron Coleman is awesome, man. He just reposted me again. Sorry.
Yeah, it's okay.
Beautiful day in the neighborhood.
You can hear, right?
A beautiful day for a neighbor. Could you be mine? Would you be mine? I was gone for a bit, but now I'm all right. My neighbors was all black, but now they white. Check cashing place turned into a bank. Elevator works and the stairs they don't stink. The white people came and changed everything, but I am still your neighbor. Hi, boys and girls, it's your old pal, Mr. Robinson. So much has changed since we last spent some time together. My neighbor has gone through so much. It's gone through something called gentrification. Can you say gentrification, boys and girls? It's like a magic trick. White people pay a lot of money, and then poof, all the black people are gone. But where do they go, boys and girls? Back to where they come from, of course. Atlanta. Now it's just me by myself now. Y'all probably wondering how Mr. Robinson can afford to live in this fancy neighborhood. Well, that's the word of the day.
Oh, squatters' rights. Squatters' rights.
Squatters' rights. It's like finders keepers, but for other people's houses. Who could that be? Let's go see, boys and girls.
I like the music, the little...
We ended off the last episode saying how we weren't going to play too many
yeah,
clips.
but I just wanted to just this one. Yeah.
No, it's funny. Yeah. I encouraged this.
Yeah.
Immediately contradict ourselves.
It's Damien and Mika from 7F. Damien and Mika are my new neighbors. They paid $1.2 million for an apartment where Mr. Robinson's friend Frankie used to cook crack.
Frankie.
Let's see what they want.
Hey, Mr. Robinson, sorry to bother you. We ordered a new 72-inch Samsung TV, and they said it was delivered, but it's not in the lobby. We were wondering if you knew anything about that?
Don't worry, boys and girls. Mr. Robinson knows just what to say in situations like this. Oh, you think I stole your TV because I'm black? It always works, boys and girls.
We would never do that. What? No.
Yeah, we're asking everyone. It's not just you.
Yeah, I'm sorry we gave you that impression.
Yeah, and we'll get out of your hair.
Yeah, we are so sorry. If you see the TV, let us know.
Oh, and we'd love for you to come to our holiday party.
Don't nobody want to come to your damn holiday party. Can you believe the nerve of them boys and girls? There's a special word for that.
All right.
No, racist.
Man, we made his legs into linguini.
Excuse me, boys and girls. It's more visitors. Damien, I ain't take your damn TV, and you can't prove nothing.
I'm not Damien, sir. My name is Patrick.
I don't know no damn Patrick.
I know that, but I did a DNA test, and it says you're my father. I just want to meet you.
The face.
Oh, boys and girls, see, there's a new company called 23andMe. And because of them, 23 people now say their father is me. Be right there. That's my cue, boys and girls. I gotta go tell the police there's a strange black man banging on my door. But until we meet again, tomorrow, I'll come back home
Tomorrow.
with my kids.
Here. Anyway. There you go. Who is it?
Man, can I tell you something? I just want to get your opinion, and you got to be honest. Right? Folks at home, I tried to impersonate Norm MacDonald. Not impersonate him. I tried to channel him to see if I could capture the spirit of what he would say.
Mm-hmm.
This is something on Getter.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So let me just find it.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I promise you, it's not a waste of your time. I really need to get your opinion on this. Okay.
All right.
So hang on. All right. Let me find this damn post.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay, we're almost there. Oh. Okay. This is something that Pam Patriot, based on her picture, she looks like a hot cartoon.
Huh.
With American flag paint on her face.
Nice.
Okay. Oh, hold on. Man, I wish I had that music that I prepared. You know, that elevator music.
Mm-hmm.
Hang on, we're almost there. Okay, so this, just to kind of describe it, this is like a meme, right? And it shows a Nazi, it shows like a zombie, like a skeleton wearing a Nazi stormtrooper helmet, right? And it also has the Palestinian flag sticker on the right side, right? Mm-hmm. So I guess it's some kind of, you know, but here's what the wording says, and the wording has like this German font, you know. It says, "Personally, I never cared what color you were until you started blaming my race for your problems.
Yeah.
I never cared about your political affiliations until you started to condemn me for mine. I never cared where you were born until you wanted to erase my history and blame my ancestors for all your current problems. I never cared if you were well off or poor until you said you were discriminated against when I got promoted because I worked harder. I never cared if your beliefs were different from mine until you said my beliefs were wrong. Now I care. Right? Now my patience and tolerance are gone. Yeah. I'm not alone in feeling this way. There are millions of us who also, and we sure have had enough. Share if you all agree." Okay, so everything this guy said is exactly, you know, basically he assumed the identity of a Jew, right? And then instead he just replaced, he's saying that this is what's being done to him by Jews, of course. He didn't say that outright, but he's wearing a Nazi helmet with a Palestinian, that seems to be directed at Jews, right? Okay, so here's me responding to him as Norm MacDonald, if you don't mind, just for a moment. Yeah. All right. And be honest, and I really want to know, because I want to improve. You know what I mean? If you're gonna try to be nice to me, I'm never gonna get better. Yeah. All right. Yeah. So I wrote to him. I was like, "So you're a zombie Nazi Palestinian stormtrooper?" ? Yeah. Now, don't get me wrong. I like what you're saying and all, and it's totally cool with me if you are a zombie Nazi Palestinian stormtrooper. Yeah. But you see, the thing is, I usually don't hear those words coming out of a zombie Nazi Palestinian stormtrooper. In fact, it's usually the opposite of what they say. Yeah. Actually, what they usually say is more like "crankly, crankly."
Wait, you actually wrote that out?
Yeah.
How do you spell crankety crankety?
SHCRANKELY. CRANKELY.
That's really elaborate.
Right. Well, I think I saw that somewhere else when somebody. Anyway, but this is like a long time ago. So just back it up a little bit. So actually, what they usually say is more like "crankly, crankly." At least the ones that I know, and I know several of them. Some of my best friends are zombie Nazi Palestinian stormtroopers. Now, me being a Jew caused a bit of turbulence initially, but over time, and then I dot. Is that like coming anywhere near the ballpark? Is that like of norm? I don't know. Maybe
could
not.
be.
I got to work
it
on it more.
It could be. No, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. Well, speaking of, I don't know even know if I should mention the context in what in which you brought up this issue today. Should I mention it?
Please.
I shouldn't.
Actually, does that have anything to do with somebody else with my last name?
Yes, so I shouldn't. I should just say the topic, but not the.
Yeah.
Okay, so you brought up this issue of this famous canard. What they call
fancy.
What?
Fancy.
Yeah. So it's a famous canard that we've heard.
Fun fact. Canard. Canard.
Yeah.
Is one of the words that I've used on several occasions without knowing what it means, and I'm not proud of it. Another one is a lark.
Yeah.
I have no idea what either one of those things is, but it sounded like a thing to say. All right, continue. Sorry.
No, so I was gonna say the first time I heard that this BS nonsense about Khazarians, it was this like. Back in the day, when I used to argue with these leftists in the club scene, these fringe leftists in the New York City club scene, so one of these guys, he was an Armenian guy, and he believed this, somebody told him about this Khazarian whatever, and he believed
it. It was a brilliant idea.
Yeah.
Thought up by a Jew.
Yeah, of course.
A Jew named Arthur Koestler.
And I didn't even know how to respond to him, because I'm just like, what is this? And I asked my mother about of all people, my mother knew about this. She's like, yeah, there's this theory that apparently the king of the Khazarian Empire, there's some empire in the central.
No, hang on. I apologize. I don't mean to interrupt your mom.
Yeah.
If she was actually talking, I'd never interrupt her.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to, I just wanted to slice through this.
Okay.
Nice and quick, because I've had this conversation.
Okay.
Oh, so many times.
Okay.
On the train. With Black Hebrew Israelites, especially.
Yeah. But can I just say what she said, and then you can.
With tattoos. Yeah. I'm sorry. Please.
No, I just want to say that she's like, это какая-то теория, that she's like a theory that a king took on Judaism, and that's where the Ashkenazi Jews come from, and I'm like, what? Where is this from? I literally, I was just like, I was totally caught, out of left field with my pants off in this whole discussion, Dude,
I lost you for like a good 5 seconds.
What was the last thing you heard?
Discussion.
Oh, I said I was caught out of left field. Oh, okay, because I was switching to Wi-Fi's. I was caught out of left field with my pants off in that discussion. I was just like, I didn't even know what to say to the guy.
Whenever, by the way, for future reference for you, Greg, and for the folks at home, if anybody ever comes up to you and says, just out of nowhere, is it true you wash your hair in clam broth? Is it true you used to work at a flea circus? That's the Marx Brothers. They just would come up to this woman and just start like lobbing accusations on her. Like out of nowhere. Just funny stuff.
Yeah.
Just say stuff like that back. Just if somebody comes at you out of nowhere and says some crazy stuff that you never heard of, just say some crazy stuff right back at them. Be like, how do you like that? I can make some stuff up too, Make him look like a fool.
Yeah.
Your instinct shouldn't be that. Oh my God, is there something I don't know?
Yeah.
Your first instinct should be F off.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Who the hell are you?
No, eventually it was F-off because I was just like, this is ridiculous and please bring proof. I was just asking, at some point I was just like, can you please bring proof for your assertion? Because you're just BSing right now. At first I was just, and then after I did that, I just wanted to know where this theory even comes from. I was just out of curiosity. So that's my mother, you know, she knows about these things. It's like, yeah, it's some BS theory that Ashkenazi, and then, dude, in Israel, they actually did a few years ago genetic studies, and they came like maximum 5%, maximum that Ashkenazi Jews actually come from this.
Actually,
whole thing.
can I? I'm gonna possibly correct you if I was 1,000% sure of this, but I'm pretty sure that 5% is not from Khazarian. That's 5% of convert genes in general.
Yeah.
The body of the Jewish people, as we are today, which traditionally, from our tradition, we are the tribe of Benjamin and the tribe of Yehuda, the entirety of both the tribes, plus representative groupings of all the other 12 tribes, just small amounts that wanted to continue being religious after the northern tribes started worshiping idols, that kind of stuff. Okay, and then so that's about 90% of who we are genetically, and then 5 to 10% comes from places like elsewhere. You know what I mean? From converts. Okay. Now, if we were, let's say we reverse that, but hypothetically speaking, let's say that 5% of us were actually from the original, from the family of Jacob, right? Yeah. And 90% of us were converts. That it doesn't matter. Yeah. Okay? True. Because being Jewish was never some kind of genetic, master race. That's not what it was intended to be.
As much as the Nazis, convince us that that's what it is.
Right. Ironically, what did Abraham want? He wanted the whole world to be Jewish. Yeah. So did Jacob. Yeah. Okay? So he wouldn't be happy with the fact that we're so pureblood. Yeah. Purebred.
That's true.
That's not a good thing from Abraham's perspective.
That's what all these, frum groups are doing. They're trying to...
No, they're just trying to survive.
Yeah. Yeah, I know.
That's different. Okay, so what Greg is talking about, he's talking about the Orthodox communities who are very insular and very careful not to assimilate.
Yeah, not even assimilate. I'm talking about not even that. I'm talking about even somebody like me marrying.
No, but that proves to you right there that their primary interest isn't preserving some sort of Superman genetics.
I know.
They're trying to preserve the culture and the tradition.
An idea.
Right. So
they believe that I'm not part of their thing.
Right. Nissim Black is much closer to them. Nissim Black is a giant black man.
Giant Haredi black guy.
Yeah, he's a giant black man. Not from Africa. A Brooklyn guy. Yeah. Probably. I think he's from Brooklyn.
He's not from Brooklyn. He's from Seattle.
Right.
Whatever.
He was. You said Staten Island?
Seattle.
Oh, from Seattle. Okay. Yeah. He's a rapper. He still is a rapper. Yeah. But he converted to Judaism, and he's Hasidic, meaning not even like Lubavitch. He has with the hat, the long, the long black coat. Yeah. He has payas hanging down from the side. Yeah. That guy is more welcome in Williamsburg than Greg is.
I know.
Okay, because of his culture and
his wife is also black, by the way.
Who is?
His wife is also black, by the way.
Okay.
Just saying.
That's good.
Anyway.
All right. Oh, you're saying that because she's black, that means that he wasn't that welcome?
He's welcome, but he's not fully welcome.
I mean, hold on. Was he married to her? Was it him and his wife?
No, I think he met her after he became, I suspect.
Is it possible at all that he was more comfortable with her? And it's not that he was kind of
Oh, that's fine. No, that's not what I was intuiting at all. I was just. It could be that he was more comfortable with her. I'm just saying I have.
For instance, so basically, now I'm not you know, it almost hurts me to say this because it almost sounds like I'm trying to be diplomatic or apologetic, and it hurts. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I want to be, like, I'm just going to say this just to kind of state that it's a fact and that it exists, okay?
Yeah.
Not that I'm trying to impress anybody, okay?
Yeah.
All right. So, in my family, I'm not going to say who, right? There are religious Jews who are. There's a woman who's married to a religious Jewish black guy, convert.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's not terribly uncommon. Now, I'm not. The reason I said that was not to show, oh, look how woke we are. Oh, look, we're good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't give it. My instinct is to go the other way, just because it makes leftists unhappy. You understand?
Yeah.
But at the same time, let's say if leftists didn't exist, right?
Yeah.
I would just say it normally, and I wouldn't feel antagonized.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Was that coherent? Do you understand what I'm trying to say?
Yes.
Like when I don't have racial hatred in my heart.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But when I'm around a leftist,
yeah,
I want to make him think that I do, and it brings me joy.
No, it's not even that. It's just like you want to make him. You don't want to give him the satisfaction of participating in like deliberate virtue signaling. It's not.
I'm not doing anything to pass. You know,
it goes back to the meme that
son
you.
of a bitch.
It goes back to the meme that you read to me. It's like we didn't care until they cared. You know.
Yeah. You know,
but I guess isn't it good that now all this is? Isn't it good that all they're doing really with their behavior is just reminding us what our values are, because it almost seems like we forgot, the right, or people who are normal, let's say, I don't want to say the right wing, just people who are freaking normal forgot what their values are, and it's almost like Hashem brought back this entity called whatever you want to call it, Sitrach or left, to basically remind us of our values, to remind the world that it's like Jordan Peterson. Why does he exist? It's just to remind people. Every so often people need a reminder of what the right path is, you know?
That's part of it.
Because I feel like we were losing the plot. Even right wing people who were like, you know, let's say, making all this money and started doing all this like, you know, immoral things. You think what? Only left wing people are involved in immorality? No.
No. I know. No, I mean, there's a lot of reasons for it. I don't think we know all of them.
Yeah.
Because some of it just doesn't make sense. But
yeah.
But just to kind of to loop it back around to, you know, to what we're talking about. So, we're trying to preserve. So what Greg was talking about before about, you know, the religious Jewish communities that are trying to not marry out.
Mm-hmm.
They're not trying to preserve some kind of superhuman, you know, genetics like the Nazis thought that they were doing.
Mm-hmm.
They're trying to preserve a system of values and a tradition, the Torah, and the observance of the commandments. That's what they're trying to do. Okay, so what's funny is that Jews are, you know, if you're going to have a competition, like who is the most original, you know, nation that still exists from the ancient times? So you have an example of that. It's called the Jews. Mm-hmm. Okay, other people like to say the Armenians, you know, maybe the Hindus, or I don't know. Okay, mm-hmm. But that competition doesn't really matter to a Torah-minded Jew. Mm-hmm. And the only reason why it would even seem like we're in that category of pure blood is because we were ostracized. Mm-hmm. Nobody wanted to become a Jew, right?
Yeah.
For 2,000 years in Europe, also for a little bit less time in the Arab countries. Okay, mm-hmm. If there was somebody who was from a Christian family, and that they were curious to learn about Judaism, they had to be very, very, very careful. Otherwise, they would be killed by law.
Yeah.
And if they decided to convert, then they're finished.
Yeah.
Okay? So it's the laws of the non-Jews that kept the Jews so pure, even when we weren't really trying to be so.
Yeah.
Irony.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So
speaking of Nazis, man,
Well, we got to talk about the Khazars. We got to just go back on that for a minute.
Okay. Before that,
you know what? I'm not saying like say what you're gonna say. I don't want to lose like.
Hillary claims that she got shmovid and she's okay, and she says Baruch Hashem for the. She didn't say Baruch Hashem.
Said Baruch Hashem.
She didn't say Baruch Hashem. She said I'm grateful than ever for the protection that the Shmaxines have against serious illness, and please get Shmaxinated and boosted. Like, please kill yourself if you haven't already. Psychotic.
Yeah, what's his name? Barry said the same thing the other day.
Yeah, I know. Let's get boosted for a Shmariant that escapes the entire thing. It escapes it. They told us that it doesn't work for the new thing. So what are you boosting for?
They're literally like, who are they talking to? They're talking to the people. They're talking to their cult.
Oh yeah. Basically.
Right? People who would do anything that they say.
Yeah, essentially. Yeah. It's crazy.
So, yeah. Wow.
There was a girl in one of our non-vax schmax groups. She said, you seem to be. She's like, wow. She's like, you're like so she goes, because you're prolifically doing these, this podcast and then an interview with Dr. Shmelenko, and this and that, and she's like, you seem to be a little bit consumed by it. I was like, can you do me a favor? When they come out with a time machine, right? Get in the time machine, like a DeLorean,
Yeah.
Set it to the year 1932, Germany. Go back there, and I want you to even so much as bring yourself, like, go find a Jew, like a crazy Jew who's like warning everybody about like Hitler and the Nazi regime. Go find that guy, come up to him, and try to bring yourself, knowing what you know now, try to bring yourself to tell him to his face that he is consumed. What I bet you will do, instead of telling him that he's consumed, because you know what you know from the extensive education, assuming you got it, you will tell him, keep doing what you're doing and do more of it. Don't stop. It doesn't matter if your family and friends think you're crazy. It doesn't matter who doesn't listen to you and dismisses you. Just don't tell him, that guy, don't stop. Don't ever stop. Do more and more and be like a man possessed. And if you somehow can get access to any one of these regime members or SS or, I don't know, maybe even Hitler himself, if you get within earshot of those guys, kill them.
You said all of that? All of that to her?
Yes, I left that in. It was audio.
I would have been like, bitch, and that's it.
No bit. Because there's other people in the group, and I wanted them to hear. I wanted them to hear this. And there was another person who messaged me privately, and said, "What an amazing response! Thank you very much." Not to toot my own horn. I'm just saying, like, other people hear it and they understand. You can't be more consumed. There's no such thing as consumed in this particular situation. Good. I'm consumed. Yes, guilty. Consumed. I'm in a consumed bubble cocoon of being consumed. Yes. I cannot work. I cannot sleep. I cannot eat. I'm consumed. Yes. Guilty as charged. Blech. Anyway, sorry.
I really wish that I had this is more of an archetype than a real person. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I wish I had I wish I could become black at certain moments, right? But not like real black people, like normal people. I'm talking about like stereotypical black, like you see, like characters, like Eddie Murphy, because then you could say something like, instead of all what you said, it could be just so simple, like there's people dying. What you talking about?
Exactly.
That's it. That's the same exact meaning of everything that you just said.
Exactly. I just want, I hear what you're saying. I think in this case, I really wanted to drive home the point of first of all, I want people to understand where we are in history and that we are essentially experiencing something akin to that. I want them to understand the weight of the historical moment, really, because I think even the people who are like on, so to speak, our side, don't really or they kind of understand, but they don't really understand. Because they have to work, they have to live, they have to this, they're busy, whatever. I mean, again, in order to live the life that you covet, you have to be alive to live it. It's very simple, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I got you.
I don't know, man.
Yeah, so Khazars.
Anyway, so back to...
Those,
yeah.
We got to talk about that. You know why we got to talk about that?
Why?
I'm noticing lately, in the past couple of days, like on social media, I'm noticing this word, Khazarian Mafia. It's even a hashtag now.
Yeah.
I was like, Khazarian Mafia, what the?
Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
Is this really trying to make...
Even
and
that...
then there's like... And it's always associated with David Icke, or
yeah,
Icke, whatever the hell his name is.
Yeah.
What a name.
Yeah.
The last name is the same as a fish disease. Ick, you know? That's
Ick, yeah. Or Ike. Ike like the
yeah, people take their fish to a vet. You got the ick.
Or the South Park little brother, Ike.
No, Ike is just that's like a short name for Isaac.
Yeah. No, I know. Ike. A lot of the Syrian Jews are like
Ike is a pimp. Remember,
Ike.
he had a relationship with his teacher. Remember when he was in kindergarten?
Yes. Oh, you're talking about the South
Remember
Park.
when they found out about that?
Yes.
Like I think the law enforcement guys, they're like, yeah, we're gonna give him an award for luckiest little boy in the world, and then they high five each other like, all right.
I like when the aliens come and they abduct Ike or something, or they abducted.
I didn't see that one.
Yeah, there's a whole thing of like Ike and aliens, whatever. It's very funny. No, so you're saying about the. I was gonna say the Cliff High. You know the Cliff High guy, Cliff High, the Q guy.
Yeah.
He's also on board with this whole Khazarian. That's why
I know. I know.
That's why I filter like some of his stuff.
Right. I mean, some of these people, like, I think a lot of them, I don't think realize the full extent. Like you see, with David Icke, I've been on that. I went into that rabbit hole a while ago.
Yeah.
And then, he says, like, you watch that movie, you watch his presentations, he talks about stuff that happened. Like, let's say I was to read to you a history textbook.
Yeah.
This happened on such and such a date. Here are the people involved.
Yeah.
That happened on such and such, so on and so forth, okay? So he states a bunch of things that really happened, okay?
Yeah.
And then he puts it together in a certain way, like a mosaic. Okay,
yeah.
But in the end, you have to wait till the end to find this out that Jews are lizards.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what people think I'm exaggerating.
Yeah,
I'm not.
Yeah.
It's not just Jews. It's not just Jews. It's also the royal family of England, and the Rockefellers or something like that. But okay, so that's what it always ends up being in the end.
Yeah.
I don't know how many people who are saying the word Khazarian Mafia, I don't know if they've been to the very bottom of the rabbit hole like I have.
Yeah.
When I finally got there, I was really upset. I'm like, I'm not a lizard. I was like, wait, am I? No, I'm not. No, I checked. Okay? I am not a lizard. Okay? And,
Good to know.
Yeah. Okay? And nobody in my family is. I asked them.
Yeah.
Okay, so it was upsetting, but you know what? That's where I learned an important lesson, and that's where I started watching Ancient Aliens. I'll tell you why. Because you will learn stuff going down these crazy ass rabbit holes that you wouldn't know about otherwise.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't know about the giant stones of Sacsayhuaman in Peru.
Yeah.
I wouldn't know about Ollanta Tambo. I wouldn't know about any of this awesome things that I know if it wasn't for Ancient Aliens. Okay? So that's what I do.
Yeah.
At a certain point I started like looking into crazy ass like hollow earth. Not hollow earth, a flat earth.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I started looking at how the hollow moon and all these amazing, aliens in Antarctica and all this kind of stuff, right? And Now, of course, it's mostly nonsense.
Yeah.
But what I do is like this. I take the craziest theory, and then I begin to deconstruct it.
Yeah.
Right? See what is obvious nonsense to me. This is all me. Everybody has to do this for themselves. Okay? And then, but here's the amazing thing. You're always left with a gem.
Yeah.
After you polish all that crap off, and there's tons of it, it's all over the floor.
Yeah.
But then you're left with this like gem that you would have never known about had you not gone through that process.
Yeah.
So I kind of learned that from that bummer experience of finding out that there's people out there who think I'm a lizard. I don't appreciate that personally, but that's just me. Okay, so
yeah.
And you know what's weird? If you look at this, if you look at a picture of David Icke, that guy looks like a lizard.
He does.
Look at him.
Listen,
you
again,
know what he looks like?
It's yeah.
He looks like, who scared the absolute hell out of me?
The Geico Gecko?
No. When I was a kid, the gecko's cool. What are you talking about? The Gordon Gecko, right?
No, it's not Gordon Gecko. It's not Gordon. I'm talking about the Geico Gecko, the little lizard in the Geico commercial.
I know. I think they call him Gordon Gecko.
He's not. Is he Gordon? Okay, because
Or is it the Geico Gecko?
It's just the
Whatever.
gecko, yeah. But anyway.
Doesn't matter. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
Okay. So.
Lunches for wimps. Lunches for wimps.
Lunches for wimps. That's what he said?
From Wall Street. No, he doesn't say that. What's his name?
No,
Michael
no,
Douglas.
he said greed is good.
Greed is good, and he also said lunches for wimps. Michael Douglas.
He said that?
Yeah, lunches for wimps. He's like, lunches for wimps.
Coffee is for closers.
Exactly.
All exactly. Right. Glenn Ross.
That's right.
All right.
That's the only good...
David Mamet.
It's a great movie. What are you going to do about...
Have you ever felt more tension in your life?
Have I what?
That movie and basically everything that David Mamet produces fills me with more tension than the tensest experiences I've had in real life.
Do you know that David Mamet is a I think he's a Baal Tshuva, and he's also a reformed leftist.
We talked about this.
Yeah.
That's why he doesn't have. That's why he's finished in the business.
That's why he's done. Yeah. He made his money, but still, that's not even the point. Yeah.
Right. He's a legendary. He's freaking absolutely legendary. Anyway.
Yeah.
So here's what scared the hell out of me. When I was a kid, people remember this V.
The what?
Okay. V. Did you ever watch that V miniseries?
V?
Go on YouTube.
Are you talking about V for Vendetta?
No. Go on YouTube and type in V 80s.
Hold on.
My brother loved this.
Oh my God! What is this?
Scared of it.
The story of the battle for V, the original miniseries. What is this scary crap?
Dude, it's terrifying. So you have these like aliens, right? They show up to Earth and they're wearing. Oh my God! I'm looking at it right now. So So you have these aliens that come to Earth and they look like people, and then at some point somebody like tears their skin and they reveal this green. They're lizards.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I just thought that they had like green muscle tissue. I couldn't, because I was a little kid at the time. It was just not. I was not a happy boy when that was on. All right, my brother was like, whoa, whatever. So
it's crazy.
They were just messed up. Anyway, so V is terrifying.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and so David Icke looks like a V to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know who else? You know who else looks like that? Megyn Kelly.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm crazy. I don't know. Some people just have that kind of bone structure. You know what I mean? Like they kind of look like a little bit reptilian. I don't know. Yeah. So he's a reptile.
Yeah.
He's a lizard, and he's trying to tell me that I'm a lizard.
It's
like
crazy.
that.
I'm watching this V thing, dude. I think the chick that played the main V, she played in They Live.
No, that's not her.
No, it's not the same actress.
No. I see why you're saying that.
Yeah.
But that the chick who played in They Live has these green eyes that are like almost kind of like some kind of weird albino green eyes. Like they're crazy.
Yeah.
It's almost the light. It's crazy. It's almost like clear.
Yeah.
V, I'm out of here.
Hold on a second, sir. 1 second. All right, sir.
Dude,
Yeah.
you know who else looks like a reptilian to me?
No.
There's an actor from the 80s that a lot of people remember. His big movie was The Beastmaster.
Okay.
You know what I'm talking about? Look this guy up, The Beastmaster. I think his last name was Singer.
Hold on. Wow, they actually have this full movie on YouTube. This is so crazy.
Dude, that movie is really...
This
it's
guy
really
with
upsetting.
the guy with the schnoz.
Just type in Beastmaster.
I did. There's a character who's got
Mark Singer. Mark Singer.
I mean,
The actor's name is Mark Singer.
hold on.
Look at him. Look at his face, and tell me he doesn't look like
Hold on.
like he might be an actual lizard.
Yeah.
A handsome lizard,
he
but a
could.
lizard.
Yeah, he could be. Yeah, with the yeah.
You see what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
You see that bone structure, right?
Yeah.
Lizards can be handsome.
Yeah.
Now, I don't have nothing against lizards. Okay.
Yeah.
So they're people too. I hope. Okay.
Beastmaster.
So
1982. Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, it kind of looks like one, huh? He kind of looks like one.
yeah, he was jacked in the 80s, man. He was the Beastmaster.
You know what's funny? My sister made a joke when I saw her in Central Park with my parents. She's like, Greg, what if I told you that I'm a lizard?
Who said that?
My sister, no, because her and my mom were like,
Oh my God.
they were saying that I'm like bringing, with all the World Economic Forum stuff and this. So she just like poked fun at me. She's like, what if I told you that I'm a lizard? I'm like, what if I told you that I'm a lizard? I'm like, what if I told you that Dafka, you are a lizard and I'm a lizard too? How about that?
It's crazy.
Yeah.
You know who else is I shouldn't say it. I feel bad. I had my suspicions about Jude Law.
Uh-huh. He could be one.
Super handsome.
Mm-hmm.
Could be a lizard, all right? There's
Yeah,
nothing against...
yeah.
There's nothing... I didn't see anywhere in any book written that a lizard can't be handsome.
Leonardo DiCaprio, no?
No.
Or just a giant
he's
douche.
he's a little more monkeyish.
He is, yeah. He's kind of a monkey looking guy.
You know, he has like very round features, a round head. You know, it's
So
like...
you're saying that Brad Pitt also is
It's a little monkeyish, right?
Yeah.
Like, Curious George.
Yeah.
But clearly a handsome one.
Yeah.
Clearly he did quite well for himself.
Yeah.
Okay? I don't feel bad at all saying that. He's a handsome little monkey. Okay?
Yeah.
So, so let's talk about... yeah, this is crazy.
So the
It's
Khazarian.
crazy.
So
No,
how
I'm
did
just- I'm
so how
looking
did
at-
this thing become a thing? This Khazarian thing. Like I'm still.
Okay. All right, so here we go. This is where there's a guy.
This is where Frank shows us his chops.
Well, this is where I show you a couple of things that I've read in the past. If that's what you mean by chops, then yeah. Okay. So there's a man. His name was Arthur Koestler. He was born in 1905. He's from Austro-Hungary.
Mm-hmm.
And actually he's from Budapest, so I guess that's Hungary. And so he died in 1983. Okay, so I think he moved to England. Okay, and he became a writer. He was into psychology, science. He became a commie.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and he was one of those guys who felt similar to George Soros and the whole World Economic Forum and all of these type of guys.
Mm-hmm.
They are very much against the idea of separate cultures and ethnicities.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? He thinks that's the cause of all the problems in the world, that people have culture, that there's a concept called country,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
In their mind, we should just be a planet with one people,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And, what do we have all these separations for? So
Yeah.
I like his idea. It sounds nice,
Yeah.
right? Everybody's lovey-dovey, everybody, But here's the problem. Reality itself rejects that notion.
Mm-hmm.
And by reality, I'm talking about God. Because what do we say in the end of Shema? Right? Like, Elohechem Emet,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
God is reality. Okay. So, obviously, God has a reason for having nations.
Yeah.
Okay? Why did God need 12 tribes of Israel? Why not just Israel?
Yeah.
Why did he have to have 3 different tiers of people, right? You have the Kohen, that's the priest, right? The descendants of Aaron, they're all the way on top. Then you have the Levium, right? Those are just the regular Levites. That's still the priestly tribe. And then you have everybody else, the Israelites, simple Israelite, right? Yeah. So why was that necessary, right? Why do you need different stuff? Why does it have to be, So these people obviously had a problem with it.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and what's worse is that for these people, the Jews are the primary target.
Yeah.
Okay. As if it wasn't enough that the Jews are the primary target for everybody else. They also were, of course, the primary target for these. Everybody has their reason why the Jew is a primary target. But for these people, is the reason why is because the Jews were so strong in preserving their identity and their culture and their values, right? Yeah. That they would serve as a bad example for everybody else, right? So they could, so basically the commies, they could see themselves steamrolling over pretty much anybody in the world, right? Mm-hmm. If the Jews weren't there, they could do that. Yeah. That's how they felt. I don't know if that's true, but that's what they thought. Yeah. Okay? So basically to them, the Jews were preserving the notion of a culture or a separate ethnicity. Yeah. Do you understand?
Yeah, that's what Europe hates. That Europe is trying to with the EU, they've been trying to discard nation states for decades, and they see that the Jews have revived it.
Yeah. Okay. So what did Arthur Koestler do? What did he do? He needs to. If you put yourself in his shoes, you're a commie, and you want to destroy the idea of nation. We have to unravel the Jew. We have to make this idea of a Jew disappear from the world, and then we can finally bring the Svetlaye Budishye, right? The bright future. Yeah. That's the Kami Olam Haba, right? Yeah. So Olam Haba is the world to come. Okay, so basically he had this fantastic idea. What is the primary identifier? Not identifier, but what is the thing that the Jew uses to really identify themselves as a Jew? More than anything, they have a connection to the land of Israel. Even when they couldn't live in Israel, even when you lived in Prague or Morocco or Shanghai, you know that your homeland is Israel. You know that. Yeah. You know who you are. You know you're a descendant of Jacob, and your homeland is Israel. You know it. Yep. Okay? So, and the Jews always felt that way. Now, what if you can convince them otherwise? Yeah. Okay? Yeah. So he wrote, I want to see when he wrote this book. One second. That's important. Yeah. Just to give you the timeline, the idea of when this idea showed up. Yeah. Okay? The point is, it's very recent in history. Where the hell is it? The 13th tribe, 1976. Okay? He showed up, this, nobody, okay, so now let's back up for a second. So we have a book called the Khazari. You know about it?
Yes, of course.
Okay, so that's a very important religious text for the Jewish people, okay? And it talks about, there's a rabbi who, 1,000 in medieval, even slightly before medieval time, the year 800.
Yehuda Halevi. Yeah.
It was Yehuda Halevi. Was it the year 800 or 900, something
like that? No,
it
was later than that.
It was even later? Oh, okay, so medieval. Yeah. Medieval Europe, somewhere in the
Khazari, it was...
somewhere in northern Turkey,
1140,
like that.
1140 CE.
1140. Okay, it's later. It's even later. Yeah. So
Spanish philosopher.
So that's like Rashi's time.
Yeah, the book of the Khazar.
Yeah. So listen to this. Rashi, our primary commentators, right? When religious Jews study the Torah, our tradition was passed on from generation to generation. Okay, but we have a primary commentary that was compiled that we refer to all the time, which we call Rashi.
Yeah.
Why? Because the rabbi who compiled the tradition is Rabbi, was it? Oh my God! Sorry, is it Shimon or Shlomo? Shlomo.
We talking about you?
Rashi, Rabbi Shlomo Yitzhaki,
Oh,
right?
yes.
I'm sorry, because people I'm just used to so I never say his name. Everybody just says Rashi.
Yes,
it's Rabbi
Shlomo Yitzhaki.
Shlomo Yitzhaki.
Yes, correct.
Okay, he's a Jew who lived in France and in Germany. Okay, and he was the leader of his generation, and he compiled this incredible commentary, okay, which we still use to this day.
It's a commentary. Okay? It's so incredible that it's like a thing of like that. It's almost as if it was when you talk to a yeshiva guy, he'll say like, "Oh, this is a difficult Rashi." It's almost like a staple of the Torah that was almost like given with the Torah at Har Sinai, but it wasn't. But it was.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's kind of, dude, you know that I when I was in, I told you the story, when I was in yeshiva, I once came up to a guy in my yeshiva in the hallway and I literally asked the question, who died and made Rashi king? Like, why is his word, like, I thought we were against this whole canonization thing in Judaism, and I was like, well, I can't even question what he's saying.
It's not. Okay, first of all, here's why. Can I tell you why?
Yeah.
Okay, so Rashi, he has a commentary which he received as a tradition, okay, from from his rabbi and his rabbi and his rabbi before that, okay. Mm-hmm. Nobody had ever done such a meticulous, careful compilation of all the information received. Now remember, this commentary was checked by all his colleagues.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of his colleagues were not not always friendly.
Yeah.
No, they were friendly, but there was disagreements.
Yeah.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
But no one questioned the commentary. Yeah. They're like, no, everybody, even the guys who usually argue with him, they're like, no, that's the tradition. That's exactly what I received. No one, there's not a single community that found some kind of issue with it.
Yeah.
It was there was nothing like that.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Okay. Yeah. So, and his commentary was so huge. Mm-hmm. It was, first of all, it was on every book in the Hebrew scripture.
Yeah.
Okay. What we call Tanakh. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Not on every verse. He didn't have, actually, I'm not sure if he actually had a commentary on every single verse, and we just didn't get all of it, or he didn't have a commentary on every single verse, but definitely on most verses. And not just that, he also had a commentary on the entire oral tradition as well, too. Not just the written Torah, Tanakh, but the oral explanation of it. Okay? In fact, that's his job. He transmitted the oral tradition, okay? And everybody, there's not a single critic in the entire religious Jewish world from all the different communities spread out all the world, even Yemen, okay? Far, the edges of the Jewish, what we call the Welt, right? Mm-hmm. The Jewish communities that were spread out, in Persia, there's like, no, guys, Rashi was from France.
Yeah.
They accepted his commentary in Persia.
That's crazy.
Okay? Just anywhere you went. So there's nothing like that. Okay, so what's amazing about Rashi, there's a lot of things amazing, but here's what I love. Here's how I know, just on a personal level, everybody has to make their own thing. Yeah. I know that he was transmitting and not giving us his personal opinions.
Yeah.
Because I've seen an instance which I can actually tell you exactly. I wrote it down. I was just like so blown away by it. Where he didn't receive the tradition for a certain verse in the Torah. Well, he received He understood the basic meaning, but there is a word. There was one thing that was being described. It was one of the garments of the high priest, right? Mm-hmm. That he didn't know he didn't know what kind of garment it was. So this is on Exodus chapter 28, verse 4, where Rashi was admitting that he didn't receive the tradition about what an ephod is. Yeah. Right? And then he offers his opinion. Yeah. He says, my heart tells me that it is like those aprons that the French noble women wear when they ride horses. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, and I've seen that a couple of times. All right. Now, personally, for me, Rashi's guess is better than a lot of people's. You understand? Like if some other, more recent rabbi told me, no, this is the tradition I received, I would take Rashi's guess over any, but this was probably the most meticulous person who ever lived. Yeah. Okay, and the most honest, and truly his job was to transmit the tradition. God bless Rashi. Okay, so why did I bring up Rashi? Because if this Khazar thing occurred during Rashi's time and during the Rambam's time, we have profuse amount of writing, historical record. Okay, there's barely any mention of Khazars. True. Barely a mention of them. Yeah. Okay, why? Because what actually happened was, around that time there was a like a Turkic Slavic kingdom. Yeah. Okay, that was very strong at that time. Mm-hmm. Okay, and they were pagans. Yeah. Right. Okay, and then the king he would fight the Muslims and he would fight the Christians and and I don't recall the exact context of how he got interested, and he wanted to figure out all these religions, what's the real one? Yeah. So this is, it's told in kind of like a fable form. Yeah. Okay? And then, so he invited a representative from all the religions in the region, He invited a priest, an Islamic imam, I guess, right? Yeah. And a rabbi. Okay, the rabbi was Rabbi Yehuda Halevi, okay? Rabbi Judah the Levite. Yeah. Okay? So, and in the end, to make a long story short, he chose Judaism. Okay? So that's the way the story is told. Okay? And there's a lot more details, but that's basically what went down. If you want to talk about like historical accuracy, it was something along those lines. Yeah. Later kings from the Slavic world and other areas, they adopted that story, right? And applied it to them when they chose a religion, right? So there's a story that's told about the first emperor of, or the first king of the Russians, right? Mm-hmm. What was his name? Vladimir.
The first king of the Russians?
Was it Yaroslav?
No.
The Kievan Rus. Who was the? Yeah. These are like Slav, like Nordic Slavs.
Rurik. First monarch of Rurik. You're talking about the first ever Russian monarch? Rurik.
I'm trying to remember the one who actually founded Kiev.
Grand Princes of Kiev. There's Askold and Dur. Oleg, Igor the First.
One of those guys.
Sviatoslav. Oh, the guy that wanted to convert Russia to Judaism?
No, to Christianity. The one
who there was Sviatoslav.
I think let's for the time being say Sviatoslav, right? Yeah. Let's just say
there was Yaroslav.
We'll get that information.
Yaroslav.
One of these Slavs.
Yeah.
Right. So when they tell the story of how Russians became Christian, they tell the same story, okay? But when it comes to the Khazars, so the king, his family, and the aristocracy, some portion of the aristocracy, converted to Judaism. Okay, and they were not very educated Jews.
Yeah.
They became Jews. Okay, but they never quite got their head around what that, how to actually observe the Torah.
Yeah.
And there was a struggle. They were, some of the descriptions that I've heard about how they tried to observe stuff was similar to the way you hear about Marranos, the Anusim.
Yeah.
By the way, if you ever heard the word Marranos means pigs.
Yeah.
Okay, it's not a nice thing to say, but that's what the Spaniards would call Jews who pretended to convert to Christianity, but really, they tried to maintain their Jewish identity. Okay, so after the Spanish Inquisition, you had Jews who were already a generation or two in, part of families that were officially Catholic, but secretly they maintained their Jewish identity, right? Yeah. And but they didn't know, since they lived in Spain and they didn't have any access to anything Jewish, they didn't have any Jewish knowledge.
Yeah.
Okay, and this is a generation or two after the Inquisition. Okay, so they would get together and they would have these religious rituals where they would imagine, or they would try to figure out what the observance was. So they knew about Passover, for instance, right?
Yeah.
And so they tried to observe Passover based on rumors of what Passover observance was, and it ended up being really bizarre, like silly stuff. Yeah. Like they would sit in some kind of some kind of, I don't know, they would sit on the floor, they would have their legs crossed, they would wear some ridiculous thing on their, they didn't know what they were doing.
Yeah.
But they thought they did, or they were hoping that they were observing it correctly. Yeah. But it was silly. That's kind of what it was like for the Khazars.
Yep.
Okay. Now, the majority of the population rejected conversion to Judaism. Okay. And then, if you zoom out into history, whoever remained Jewish after the Khazarian Empire fell apart, right? They got absorbed into the general Jewish population. They weren't rejected. Okay, but as an actual entity, where you have an entire kingdom that became Jews all of a sudden, and then you had these Turkish Slavs, kind of half Turkish, half Slavic, whatever they were, right? Mm-hmm. This is how history records who they were, right? Yeah. And then you have this entire giant population of Jews. Yeah. Okay? Mm-hmm. That's not what happened at all. Okay? Mm-hmm. And so nobody thought that either until 1974, when this asshole Arthur Koestler decides that Judaism needs to disappear. Yeah. That the identity of Judaism needs to disappear. Yeah. Since that time, it's been used by every anti-Semite, every Jew hater, every conspiracy person that wants to make sure that Jews are always found to be, behind everything.
Imposters or whatever, yeah.
Okay, so there are correspondences. Historically, we have some correspondences, a couple of letters, because the way Jewish communities would communicate with each other, they would by letters. They would write letters. Yeah. It took a long time for letters to travel. Like the Rambam, Maimonides in Spain, he sent a letter to the Jews of Yemen. You know how far that is? Yeah. Right? And they needed, and basically they kind of adopted this Spanish rabbi, the Maimonides, to become their religious authority, on Jewish law. Yep. Right? So they would correspond by letters. And there's a lot of letters between Maimonides and the Yemenite Jews.
Yeah, it's a shame that the Yemenites have to be known as the ones who are perplexed.
I don't think the Guide to the Perplexed was written for them. I don't think it was written for them.
It was written for Yemenites, yeah. Dude. It's a Yemenites.
As far as I understood, it was written for young Jewish men who were attracted to Greek, Aristotelian, Platonic, philosophy.
Nope.
So that could have been occurring in Yemen, okay, because Islam was greatly influenced by Aristotelian.
Okay. Oh, okay, fine. But it was directed at here. Here. 1 second. High School Book 1. Yeah, he's talking about anthropomorphism and all this kind of stuff. But hold on. There's something about Yemen. 1 second. Yeah, here. The earliest complete Judeo-Arabic copy of Maimonides' Guide for Blacks, copied in Yemen in 1380, was found in the India Office Library and added to the collection of the British Library in 1992. Another manuscript copied in 1396 on vellum and written in Spanish, cursive script, but discovered in Yemen by bibliophile David Solomon Sassoon, was formerly housed at the Sassoon Library in Letchworth, England, but has since been acquired by the University of Toronto. The manuscript has an introduction written by Samuel Ibn Tibbon and is nearly complete with an exception of lacuna between two of its pages. That's all it says about Yemen. But I for some reason thought it was like, I guess the manuscripts was covered. But hold on a second. Complex Yemen. Hold on a second.
I mean, the original was probably written in Arabic, so I mean...
Could be. Yeah, it says,
I think most of his manuscripts were.
Here you go. Addresses the issue in letter to Yemen. A fervent polemic... Here. This is in the back, the Jewish backward. Received the worried letter... about 800 years before the Pew... Okay. Oh, the Pew study about the Jews. Maimonides received a worried letter from the leader of the Jewish community of Yemen, asking him to combat the specter of assimilation. Yemenite Jews had recently been afflicted by persecution and by a false Jewish Messiah, but the worst danger of all was now surfacing a notion that for Jews who, like the Yemenites, were thoroughly at home in Muslim culture, there was no longer a good reason to remain Jewish. Maimonides addresses the issue in letter to... so there was something called a letter to Yemen. It's a letter to Yemen. A fervent polemic in which he condemns the Muhammad as a defective one, and for good measure derides the spurious man-made faith of Yeshua the Nazarite, may his bones be crushed. But Maimonides' answer to the question of why Jews should follow Jewish law is in fact a challenging one. If you know the deeper meaning of the commandments, he tells the Yemenites, you realize that they have moved man closer to perfection, whereas Islam and Christianity really have no deeper meaning. They are just stories and imaginary tales. Oh, it's interesting. So Rambam was talking about like Panemius. Interesting.
Absolutely.
There goes the rationalist. Many today would argue against Maimonides' claim that rival forms of monotheism are mere myths, whereas Judaism is the truth. But Maimonides' idea that mitzvot are justified by their deeper meaning.
Who the hell would argue? Okay, I'm going to get angry.
Dude, this is the forward. This is the forward.
I'm not getting angry at you, Greg.
Can I finish reading? This is the forward. No. The forward writing this. The forward. The backward.
Yeah, the forward, the backward. Who would ever argue
let me just
that Maimonides thought that Christianity or Islam was anything but nonsense? Let me rephrase that. We definitely know that
they would argue against Maimonides' claims.
Thought that Christianity was wrong, and so he felt that way about Islam as well.
Yeah.
I don't think that should be a controversial idea.
No, maybe
he was a Jewish guy. He was really into the Torah.
No, they're saying that they would argue against Maimonides' claim that they are myths. Not that he's claiming it, but they would argue against him and say that it's not that Islam.
You mean at the time? Okay.
Whatever, or even today, they would argue at his claim. Yeah.
Okay, obviously they're going to argue at his claim.
Yeah. That's all this person is saying.
You have Christians and Muslims who believe that their thing is right, so they're going to argue.
Yeah. Here, it says, Maimonides' idea that mitzvot are justified by their deeper meaning is still a necessary one. In his masterpieces, the Mishnah Torah and the Guide are Perplexed, Maimonides defended the importance of law by pointing to the ways it makes us reflect on Jewish ethics and Jewish history. Even a commandment like shatnez, the prohibition on wearing garments of mixed wool and linen, is a warning against idolatry because Maimonides says it reminds us that heathen priests wore such clothing. This was an inspired guess on Maimonides' part, not a historical fact. This guy's putting it.
That's what this guy is saying.
Yeah.
I wouldn't count on. Guys,
I know,
if
I know.
I would
Who is this
believe
person?
Maimonides.
David Mikis. I don't fucking know who this person is. Who is this clown? Hold on.
Sounds like a damn Jew.
David Mikis, professor, University. University. Listen. David Mikis is a Moore's Distinguished Professor in English Department and Honors College of University of Houston.
This is not looking good.
I know. His most recent book, Slow Reading in a Hurried Age, came out from Harvard Belknap and was featured on NPR and New York Slimes. Another book's Annotated Emerson, The Art of the Sonnet. Oh, here you go. Mix is a columnist for Tablet, where he writes regularly on subjects of Jewish interest, from politics and culture to literature. He has also written for the New Republic, the Jewish Backward, the Slimes, New Statesman, Huffington Compost, and other publications. His university won the University Teaching Excellence Awards, highest teaching honor.
The
Puffington
right?
Compost.
Right. I just want to channel. I want to channel.
This guy, if anybody looks like a lizard person, it might be this guy. You should see his picture.
He might actually be a lizard. Just kidding.
Is the author most recently of Stanley Kubrick. Yale.
We should have an episode on Rush Limbaugh, but in the future.
Yeah. Love in the Time of Contagion. He wrote this article. Interesting. Dreyfus, Zionism, and Sartre.
Dear God.
A Coen Brothers' Brilliant Macbeth. The Noble Lies of the New Race Politics. Okay, so he's actually... hold on.
No, he's in Texas, so there's a chance he might be at least politically
This guy's actually,
right-leaning.
he's pretty rightly, yeah, he talks, there's an article, People Love Dead Jews, because he's like, he's saying that people love dead Jews, like, sarcastically. What else? The Life of Viktor Frankl. This is pretty interesting.
Yeah.
He's not so bad. He's not that bad. He's just it probably looks like the guy just basically, compos, article about compos, like Jewish compos.
Dude, and this has nothing to do with what we're talking about right now. This popped into my head. No. According to my parents, I was wrong about the Ukrainian poet Shevchenko.
According to my mom, I was also wrong. Because apparently he was not an anti-Semite. Apparently, I don't know if he's an anti-Semite. Apparently, his statues are not everywhere. Actually, in Lvov, they removed it. It's only in literally one place in the entire country.
Apparently. I need to confirm all this. There was an anti-Jew poem that was published in his name, but it wasn't really him. He never actually.
There seems to be a lot of stuff, despite obviously there is history of anti-Semitism. There's a lot of stuff that people think is anti-Semitic within Ukraine about Ukraine, that is not, turns out not to be the case.
Also, I was wrong about when the Nazis marched into Kiev, right, and they began killing all the Jews and dumping them into a big mass pit called Babin Yar, right? Yeah. I thought it was primarily the Ukrainians who consider themselves Bandera.
It wasn't Banderovцы. It was a different group. It was the Polizei.
No, here's who they were.
Yeah.
I thought that they were like these Western kind of Western European, like Ukrainian nationalists that were there. No. It was apparently they were there and they were doing it, but it was primarily the local Ukrainians.
Correct.
The Kiev.
Correct.
The residents of Kiev, the actual neighbors of the Jews.
Correct. Exactly, verstees. And they also had
way worse than what I thought.
Yeah, and they had Yeah. No, my mother told me. She told me the same thing. She told me the same thing. Yeah, it wasn't Banderovцы. Banderovцы came after, and it was nothing. That's why, dude. Listen, a lot of people in the religious Jewish community just spout things. Unfortunately, they just say things.
No, I didn't learn that from the religious.
No, I know you didn't. I'm just saying it's like I hear a lot of stuff, and everything is lumped in together.
I never heard. By the way, I never heard a single like Orthodox Jewish persons say the word bandera. I learned that.
I hear Russian-speaking from Jews saying bandera. I do hear that.
Well, listen, bandera, they killed countless Jews, just not in Kiev in that particular instance.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, it was Western Ukraine. It wasn't.
So, anyway, that makes it harder to like Ukrainians because before I could say it was the Bandera guys, obviously those maniacs from Western Ukraine, but no, it wasn't. It was the damn freaking local Ukrainians, the neighbors of the Jews.
Yeah.
My grandfather, when he got back from the war, he found, I think I may have mentioned this, he found a couple of groups of people living in his government department. Everybody had a government department, okay?
Yeah.
And because they, and then there was like a family there, and then there was like a group of these like Ukrainian thugs, which can be seen, by the way. You can see them probably on YouTube if you type in Ukrainian refugees in Germany.
Yeah.
You should see. I don't know if you saw those videos, Greg.
Mm-hmm.
Like what they do, you know what I mean? Like they're acting like absolute animals. Like you have these like, these sort of like, at least on the surface, proper Germans are like shocked. They're like uncivilized. Look at these animals that have come.
Yeah. It's crazy.
And all you hear from the Ukrainians,
Yep.
Low life. Anyway, so basically, and these are fighting age guys, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So the point is that the reason we got a full tangent was just to say that the way that the history, the information that we have from medieval times and from before, and obviously after, until recently, is through correspondences with letters written from one community to another, from one rabbi to another. They compile these letters. These are like our precious historical. There's very little about Khazars in any of it.
I know. You know, they'll say, "Oh, you tried to hide it."
I tried to hide it. Yeah.
Not you, but we tried to hide it.
How come nobody? Dude, do you know how my brother was born in 1973? This book came out in 74. How come there are televised debates about all sorts of issues going back a long time now. Nobody mentioned the word Khazar until 1974.
Yeah.
Okay? So that's really what this is.
Yeah.
Now, what's interesting, here's a twist. You want to hear a twist?
No.
And this, and I was like rolling my eyes when I first heard this. I'm like, why, Yair? Why? Why are you doing this? So Yair Davidi, I love this guy. He's a researcher. He's a religious Orthodox Jewish man, an Australian. He's from Australia. He sounds like he gargles gravel. Okay, just for fun.
Yeah.
You got to hear this guy talk. You know what? I'm gonna let the world hear this man talk. This man, but this is way better than Klaus Schwab gargling gravel. This guy, Klaus Schwab, just sounds like a sick, like a sick creature.
Yeah.
Okay, Yair Davidi sounds like a man.
Yeah.
All right, hold on. That's different. Hold on. It's a very, very strange cadence, by the way, Yair Davidi, when he speaks. Hold on. Let's see if I can hear this. Okay, he's about to start. Hold on.
Shalom. Shalom. This is Yair Davidi speaking from the land of Israel.
The hell?
We are speaking on behalf of Britain, a movement that believes in the Western culture amongst Western nations.
You heard that?
Yeah. What did he say?
Anyway, that's what he sounds like. He sounds like a rough dude.
He sounds like he's swimming in gravel.
he's kind of this old school kind of Australian guy.
He looks like a character from like one of these 80s. You know, he looks like from Neverending Story.
Dude, he's just a.
He looks like he's from Neverending Story.
I'm not sure why you would say that. He looks like a rabbi.
He looks like that. No, not that. Is it
the rock biter?
The rock biter?
The big giant rock guy. That's what you're talking about.
No, he doesn't look like the rock guy.
Remember the rock biter? They
Yeah,
look like big, strong hands, don't they? Remember?
Yeah.
That was so depressing.
No, he doesn't look like him. He looks like the... man, what does he look like? He looks like...
Who the hell are you talking about in Neverending Story?
It's not a Neverending Story. He looks like somebody out of one of these...
Are you talking about the Princess Bride?
Yes! The Princess Bride and that creature.
Are you talking about Miracle Max?
Yeah, he looks like him.
Doesn't look like Miracle Max. What are you talking about?
Hold on. The little... Yeah, he looks like him. That's who he looks like.
Dude, you're crazy.
He looks like Miracle Max.
Folks at home...
He looks like Miracle Max
looks like
ate a lot of sandwiches.
Looks like a typical rabbinical-looking type of guy. That's what
I know, but
like,
he looked to me... I don't know, that's the first thing I thought of when I saw his face. I don't know.
Nah. I would have to disagree. But anyway, I love this guy, and I've been listening to his lectures for a while, and a lot of what he says makes sense to me. Mm-hmm. It just does. I made that decision for myself. Okay, so he has proven to me, okay, that the majority of the lost tribes of Israel, okay, actually settled in Western Europe. Mm-hmm. He's not excluding connections to lost tribes in India or Afghanistan or in Africa. He's not excluding that, or Native American, okay? Mm-hmm. He's saying that the majority ended up in Western Europe, and that's why he doesn't believe in coincidences, that the majority of Jews ended up there too. Yeah. Okay? Now, so in terms of the way the Orthodox Jewish tradition, our Torah tradition, teaches us about who's who, okay? When you go to Western Europe, you go to Eastern or Western Europe or Northern Europe or Southern Europe, okay? Mm-hmm. You're either going to find Esav or you're going to find lost tribe members. Okay? Mm-hmm. There's a lot of reasons why he's saying that, okay? And it's a mixture of what the Khazal say, right, the rabbinical sources, about where they migrated to, okay? Mm-hmm. Josephus has a lot of information about that too. Apparently in Josephus' time, they weren't lost. They actually knew exactly where these people migrated and who was who, okay? Mm-hmm. And they were the Scythians. They were not the whole Scythians. They were major sections of the Scythians. Okay? Good. Which the Scythians, by the way, you know what they call themselves? No. Issachar.
Interesting.
Okay, after Isaac. Mm-hmm. Anyway, so it's only fairly in the past 400 or 500 years that this notion of lost tribes has actually manifested, and that has a lot to do with the political direction that the world has been going. Okay, so it's politically important for science to come to us to a very politically acceptable conclusion. Yeah. Okay, they're not going to say that Western Europeans. They're going to call them Indo-European. Yeah. They're going to say, when it's well known to geologists, climate scientists, real ones, not, and anthropologists, that Europe was barely populated because it was not temperate. Okay, as it got more temperate, there are migrations there, and this all occurred within the last between 3,000 and 2,500 years. Yeah. Okay, that's precisely when these migrations occurred from Israel. Mm-hmm. Okay, it all overlaps. Whatever, I'm not going to get into his whole thing. Yeah. Okay, so here's the twist. Okay, M. Night Shyamalama Ding Dong will love this. Shyamalan, right? What's his name?
Shyamalan? Yeah. Shyamalan.
Shalama, whatever.
Shalava.
No, not Shalava's like a bad word.
I know.
What is a shalava? I keep hearing this word.
It's a lady of the night in Russian, sort of.
Oh, well, that's okay. That's a bad word. All right, that's not what I intended. M. Night. Okay. Shamalama Ding Dong. Okay.
It's a hua. It's a hua.
It's not my fault that he chose that name. Okay.
That's right.
They probably can't even say that in India. They're like, Shamalama, what the hell? Can't you get a normal name? Mr. Shama over there.
Yes.
Lama.
Yeah.
Okay. So, sometimes I think that they're messing with us. Like,
of course they are.
Like Jay Chandrasekhar, you know, the guy from
who?
From Super Troopers, right?
Oh, that guy, yeah. Oh, right? With their names,
so
just to mess with us.
Yeah, no, you have like some of these Indian names have so many like syllables in them that it's like, come on, these guys are bullshit. Like,
dude, I told you what I did. I told you what I did to the guys that call my parents' house, the Indian guys that pretend to be calling. It's like scam. They pretend to be calling from Chase, like Bob Jones or something. Hello, I'm Bob Jones. Yeah. And I'm like, and I go in front of my mom. My mom was dying of laughter. I was like, I grabbed the phone from her hand. I'm like, hello, sir. I'm like, are you? He's like, I'm like, where are you calling from? He's like, I'm calling from Chase Bank, Bob Jones. I'm like, oh, Bob Jones. Okay, because I said, because the caller ID said Medco. Like Merck Medco. He's like, no, I'm Chase. I'm like, why did it say Medco? What they bought? Oh, they were bought out by Chase. That's good. Pharmaceutical company. And I'm like, are you calling from Bangalore or Delhi? And then I just hear click. My mom was dying of laughter. It's like, Bob Jones,
Yeah. I am Bob Jones. I am Roy McGuire.
Mm-hmm. Sounds typically like a Bob Jones. This is the first name that I thought of when I heard this guy on the phone.
You know what's cool? You know what's actually cool?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, they're Japanese Americans, right? That's been here like several generations.
Yeah.
But they really look really Japanese, right?
Yeah.
Because their parents made them marry either Japanese, people from Japan or American other.
They got them a shidduch, yeah.
Yeah.
It was a shidduch. Yeah, it was a shidduch.
So it's always like, right. So it's like, you meet this guy, right? You don't expect him to speak like perfect, like, he sounds like he's from Georgia.
Yep.
You don't know that.
Yeah.
All right.
How's it doing? Want some sushi?
You think he's like Takahashi,
Yeah.
But his name's like
Masahiro Tanaka or something.
Nakamura.
Yeah.
This is right.
He's like the pitcher for the Yankees, He's whatever.
Here's Henry Sato. Henry, really? Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Jack, who was the famous Ichiro?
Yeah, Jack, exactly.
Jack Suzuki. Yeah, there's a guy on the Montreal Canadiens, Nick Suzuki.
Joe Suzuki.
There's a Suzuki, the Joe Isuzu.
Joe Isuzu, that's right. Oh my God, I love that guy.
Who was the actor who played Joe Isuzu? His name was.
He was in Joe Isuzu. He played I think in a bunch of shows.
His name was David Leisure. That was the actor's name.
You know that everybody knows what this guy looks like.
The guy, he looks like this guy who looks like he wants to scam you. Hi, it's me. He
looks like he has a permanent con artist face.
Yeah. It's
but he's hilarious.
Hi, it's me, Joe Isuzu. You have my word on it. This is quotes. If I'm lying, may lightning hit my mother. Good luck, Mom. Appears on screen. It has more seats than the Astrodome. Hi, I'm Joe Isuzu, and I use my new Isuzu pickup truck to carry a 2,000-pound cheeseburger. The Isuzu Impulse, faster than speeding, catches a bullet in his teeth. Well,
Best, dude. This
ad
these
campaign
are the
is amazing.
Best commercials ever.
Amazing.
For any product.
I swear on my mother's grave, the quality of this Isuzu. Cell phone rings. Hello. Oh, hi, Mom. Hi, it's me, Joanne Isuzu, Joe Isuzu's twin sister. Leisure appears on screen in drag with the caption reading, "He's lying, and so is she." This is the last one. Isuzu Trooper 2 can hold the whole state of Texas, 79.2 cubic feet of it, stated on the bottom of the screen. It's just like they're pretending to lie, but they're not lying. It's like they're basically like lampooning themselves. The character became a fixture in American pop culture. In 1988, Michael Dukakis in a debate with George H.W. Bush, the first reptilian. During that year, the presidential election, said if Bush keeps it up, he's going to be the Joey Suzu of American American politics. Amazing.
Well, obviously the guys are lefty. They were always lefties.
Yeah. Listen to this. Leisure reprised this role as Joey Suzu in the 1992 A&W cream soda commercial. True to form, Suzu made outrageous claims about the soda. So funny. In 2012, Daily Finance, a subsidiary of AOL, named David Leisure number 15 of the top 25 celebrity spokespeople of all time for having portrayed Joey Suzu in the Suzu advertisements. The same year, Leisure reprised the role in a series of mock endorsements of Mitt Romney's 2012 presidential campaign. Interesting.
Oh shit, he died.
Did he pass away, really? No.
Wait a minute. No, wait, that's somebody else. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. I got scared.
David Leisure is 71 years old, and he lives in somewhere.
Guys, I'm not ready. I can't deal with.
He had 3 wives.
You know what I mean? Like, I need to know that these guys are around.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need to talk to them every day. I don't need to see them. But it's just like,
you know what his first movie was?
It's better to know that they're around than not.
You know what his first movie was? I'm in.
No.
Airplane.
That's right.
And he played also in Airplane 2. He was the first Krishna and the religious zealot.
Yes, he was one of the Krishnas, exactly. Oh my God. Awesome. Greg.
Yes.
I didn't even get a chance to say my twist, but is it possible to take a 10-minute interlude?
That's totally fine. What are you trying to do? I have
to talk to a person, a patient that I can't text with while I'm talking to you.
Fine.
All right, I need 10 minutes.
No problem.
You can set that timer.
No problem.
And then for the folks at home, it'll be like no time to pass at all.
Not a problem, sir.
And then you'll hear the twist.
Amazing.
All right.
All right.
So the twist.
Yes.
Okay, so we were talking about the Khazars, right? And then we were talking about how the rumor that most people, if you can call them people, Jew haters, they're always trying to Farrakhan us. Okay, among them Farrakhan. Okay.
Yeah.
Who's prime among them.
Yeah.
Wants to, they'll do anything to say that the Jews whom we are from, who suffered for thousands of years for being Jews, who carry the tradition of the Torah and the Hebrew language and everything, right?
Yeah.
Now, when it's convenient, now we're not Jews. Now they're the Jews.
Yeah.
Okay. So those people have been using Arthur Koestler's The 13th Tribe, which was published in 1974, as their primary argument for the Jews not belonging in the land of Israel.
Yeah.
Okay. And for that reason, they can go and shoot up a store in was it Jersey City? Was it Newark?
Oh, those guys.
Black Hebrew Israelites?
Yeah. And,
right?
and by the way, just to give a caveat, there's a lot of different groups within Black Hebrew Israelites because one of them, because Amari Stoudemire is part of that, but he's not part of those guys. He's just a Jew.
I thought Amari Stoudemire was just Jewish.
But no, he claims that he's from the Hebrew Israelites thing. That's how he claimed. That's how he started searching for his roots. But he does. He's not part of that whole. The guys of stand on 42nd Street.
I'm talking about a specific group.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
An organization that they dress up like Klingons.
Yeah.
And they call themselves the Black Hebrew Israelites.
So he's not part of that. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Right. Those guys are not Hebrew Israelites.
I know they're not. But yeah.
If Amari Stoudemire has some Israelite roots, all right, that's possible.
Yeah.
That's not what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Okay? So you have these groups, Nation of Islam, Black Hebrew Israelites, all these fuckers, okay? And that's just the black groups. We're not talking about, the Arabs and the white groups. But, we haven't mentioned that.
Yeah.
Probably some Chinese groups in there too.
Yeah.
Okay?
Get off the phone, Ching Chang Chong. He's not even on the phone, and I'm telling him to get off the phone.
You, Mickey Rooney, Barry Pepper.
Yeah.
No, not Barry Pepper. George Peppard. Well, that's Hannibal from the.
Yeah.
Right. And who else was I recently saw that? It's terribly offensive. Anyway, so basically the whole Khazar thing is doo-doo. Okay?
Yeah.
Stupid.
It's doo-doo,
Right?
baby.
It's doo-doo, baby.
Yeah.
Oh, damn. Driving around 5 hours looking for a backyard with chocolate on his face.
Yeah.
I found one. I ran up to him. I was like, "What's this? All this chocolate on your face, motherfucker?" He goes, "Chocolate." All right. So I'm not gonna admit that. So all right. So here's what Gary Davidi says. Even though the Khazars were not Jews,
Yeah.
okay, he thinks that the reason why they were attracted to the idea of the Jewish religion, right, and that they had some words in their culture, right? Like, for instance, their religious leaders were called the Kagan, right?
Interesting.
So that sounds a lot like Cohen, right?
Yeah, like Kaganovsky, Kagan.
No, that's a little different. That's a little different.
Okay.
So it was like Kagan. It wasn't like, I can't even pronounce the way they said that, the name of their priest. It was like Kagan or something like that.
Yeah.
It wasn't regular. It wasn't regular Kagan.
It's like saying, it's like, the Georgian sauce, tkemali. Tkemali. They want to say tkemali.
I understand the idea, but I never heard of it. No.
Yeah. It's like they keep saying that's how you gotta pronounce it. Tkemali.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So what Greg was just talking about, the Kagan, right? So if you hear some Russian Jews with the last name Kagan, that is a Russification of the word Kahan.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's hard they don't really have a light H in Russian, right? So it's either hard H or G.
Yeah.
Like Himmel or Gimel, right? So I think usually the light H becomes the G in Russian, right?
Yeah.
Like from other languages. So Kohen becomes Kogan, like that.
Yeah.
So that's a little different than what we're describing.
Yeah.
So the Khazars, they were pagans. Okay, they had their religions. They had the names of their priests and stuff like that. So when you study their culture, it's possible that they thought that they had some Hebrew, some lost tribe roots.
Yeah.
That's what they thought.
Yeah.
And it's okay. So there's no reason to rule it out, right? So that's the twist.
Yeah.
Okay, but even still, the majority of them dispersed into the other. Most of them actually adopted Islam.
Yeah.
Okay, and they got absorbed into the Islamic countries. Okay, but there's a couple of handfuls of people who remained true to Judaism, and they got absorbed into the majority of the community.
Yeah.
Another thing is, we have a tremendous quantity of Kohens. Okay?
Yeah.
So the further back you go in Jewish history, the more religious people got. Okay? Not less. More.
Yeah.
Okay? So, and the much more seriously they took to observing the commandments. Okay? And there were periods of time when all the Jews, the majority of the Jews, there's no such thing as Reformed or conservative, right? It's like, even if you weren't like fully observant, your rabbi was Orthodox. Okay?
Yeah.
My point is like this. You have so many Levites and so many Kohens. And we also have recorded pedigrees that take us back directly. Like, for instance, the Maharal, famous rabbi, you may have heard of him, the rabbi who he's famous for creating the Golem, right? The Golem of Prague, right? He traces his lineage directly back to King David. Okay? My point, that's just one example. We have an unbroken line of teacher, student, teacher, student, teacher, student.
Yeah.
Okay? And the people who lived in their periphery. That's Jewish history in a nutshell. We can trace each one of us back. Okay? We can even trace back to converts from several generations ago.
Yeah. Sure.
Okay? It's not hard for us to do that. We have that. Okay? So when somebody starts to bring up all this horseshit, it's very annoying, and it's shocking when it gains such traction.
Yeah.
Okay? Also, we have, this is why I started out saying it, we have Coins. A Coin is a person, hold on, this is my wife's contribution to the podcast. Hold on. There we go. All right. That's the loudest, like, washer and dryer knob ever in history. Anyway, so basically, a Cohen is a descendant of Aaron. Okay, you can't convert into coins. You can't do that.
Yeah, that's true.
You can't convert to become a Levite. Okay, so we have tens of thousands of Levites and Cohens in the Ashkenaz. This is, by the way, this Khazar thing is lobbed mostly at the Ashkenazi Jews, not the Sephardic Jews. Like even Alex Jones is hung up on this Khazar horseshit. Okay,
yeah.
I've literally heard him say. He goes, no, it's not like those Ashkenazi Jews. I met Sephardic Jews. They're tall and they're handsome. But the Ashkenazi Jews, he pictures of Woody Allen or something like that, or like John Lovitz.
Yeah.
But not John Lovitz as he is.
Huh.
John Lovitz when he's doing a character, like one of those guys.
Like,
okay,
like so, he sounds like he's eating gravel.
Okay, so this is something that this is just something that people with a bias, they just kind of like to embrace. Okay, so but he really likes Sephardi Jews, Alex.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't understand what the hell he's talking about or what he's thinking. Okay, but when he sees a Sephardi Jew, he thinks he's seeing a relative of Jesus.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
The thing is, here's the funny things, folks. If Alex Jones would meet me or Greg, right? I'm a head taller than Alex Jones at least.
Yeah.
Greg is a head taller than me.
Yeah.
Okay? We would look like these beautiful Sephardim to him.
Yeah, we look like
when we're anything. We're you know what I mean?
And then we take a crossbow, a 14th century Hungarian crossbow, and shove it up.
Shove it up his ass. Nah, I like him. Leave him alone.
He's all right. Yeah, he might just be an operative, but who knows? Who the hell knows?
He can stay.
I think he's you know how you say how there's always like they make these movies to make us seem like crazy people when we recollect them. I think Jones is like that guy who like became they made him well known so that he would be like fodder. Not fodder. He would be like a.
Like
he's the guy they could. Yeah, he's the guy that they can point to latch for to make us look like crazies.
Yeah, no, we said this millions of times.
Yeah, so I mean that doesn't negate the fact, or I guess eliminate the fact that your brother went on a very highly publicized, whatever it is, however it is, highly publicized.
Dude, everything that we just said about Alex Jones.
Yeah.
Put that aside. He's right 95% more than anybody else you're going to see on TV.
Correct. Eventually.
We have to say that. That is the truth.
Yeah. Except for the gay frogs. He's on point.
No, he was right about the gay frogs.
What do you mean?
He was right about the gay frogs.
Can you elaborate on that, please? So that this podcast doesn't... So that people...
God, I can't. Look, we're going to have to talk about that separately, okay? By the way, it wasn't him. He was referring to studies that were on PubMed.
Okay. So what did they say?
You want to talk about the studies, dude?
I really want to know if this is I really want to know if this is legit.
I think it's legit, okay? But we're gonna have to do it another time.
Fine.
We can't tackle Khazars and gay frogs
in the same episode.
What the hell, man? That's like each one is like an epic.
What? So since you talked about lizards, what if the Khazars are actually frogs?
Oh yeah, you're right. That is.
And they've been pushing their gay agenda on people for decades.
Holy crap! It's all coming together.
That's right.
Damn, dude. No, I mean we're half joking, but at the same time, like, what the hell, right? That's a little eerie.
It's so strange, right?
Yeah. So just to kind of, round it out with the Khazars. So basically, we have Cohens and we have Levis. We have plenty of people who are either not Cohen or Levi who can trace their lineage back quite far. Okay, definitely past medieval times. And by the way, if you're going to go back to like 1300 or the year 1300 or the year 1400, there were barely any Ashkenazim at all.
Yeah, I know.
Okay,
I know.
The Ashkenazim came from mass migrations from Western European Catholic countries.
Correct.
During the Inquisition.
Yeah.
Okay, so the majority of Jews in the world, if you go back 400 years, were Sephardim.
Yeah.
Okay, and there was a separate. Okay, so let's go back to the expulsion from Israel, right?
Yeah.
Roman times.
Yeah.
After the expulsion, there were two massive communities or regions that absorbed most of the Jews.
Yeah.
Okay, at that time. Okay, you had Spain. Okay.
Yeah.
Which had been actually had a Jewish community even 1,000 years prior to Roman times.
Yeah.
Okay, very old. Okay, and then the more relatively recent one, from Roman times, was Italy, northern Italy, in the region called Lucca.
That's where eventually the people who went through there became Ashkenazi.
Yeah, they went north into Germany. Okay, and so they lived in that area of kind of like straddling the border of northern Italy and southern Germany. Okay, and because even the Lombards, the Italians, even they spoke German. They spoke, it didn't sound like this. It sounded more German. It was a German dialect.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what the northern Italians are.
They didn't sound like Super Mario. Pretty poopy.
They didn't sound like Luigi. Okay?
It's me. Can I get a keys? Let me get a keys. I saved you from the Koopa.
They weren't singing opera just yet.
Yeah.
Okay, so they, so the Jews, they actually they adopted their language and they developed a dialect. It's called Yiddish.
Yeah.
Yiddish is 95% German.
Yeah.
Medieval German. There were three subgroups of the German language in medieval times.
Yeah.
And they were like mid-high. I don't remember which one of them, but it was one of them.
Yeah.
Okay, and then 5% was a mixture of Aramaic and Hebrew words, and a couple of Slavic words thrown in here and there over time as well.
Yeah.
Okay, as they migrate, not at that time.
Yeah.
As they migrated east.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. So the whole existence of the European Jews, right, on Eastern European Jews en masse, is relatively recent. The last 900 years.
Yeah.
Okay, but for almost 1,000 years after the expulsion from Israel, the Jews lived in Spain and, to a lesser extent, but still very significant, in northern Italy.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's basically, and there's a ton of corroborating evidence for that.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're an academic and you wanted to document the whole thing, there's endless amounts of, and very, very little, almost none, for the Khazars. Until 1974, when the whole case was broken open.
Yeah. When this clown wrote a book.
With Arthur Koestler, he broke. So anyway, so they've developed this idea of the Khazarian mafia, which is funny.
Yeah.
Because they're describing something that we already have a word for.
It's called Erevrov, no?
It's called the Erevrov.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Maybe you should title this episode like "Idiots." We already have a word for it. It's called Erevrov. I know that's a long title. But
No. We should just call it the Khazars are actually the Erevrov.
Or Khazar equals Erevrov.
Yeah.
Fools.
Yeah.
No, I want to berate. them.
No, just write in the description.
You know how the doctors,
you
they have this always do no harm?
Yeah.
Luckily, I'm not a doctor.
Yeah.
I want to do harm to certain people.
Yeah.
Can I tell you? There's somebody. I kind of feel bad, but at the same time, I feel good.
I feel good.
I want to share it with you.
That is bad.
It's not as good as I thought. You know, when somebody writes a stupid comment because they misunderstood something that you wrote, right? And then you really give it to them.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoy that.
Yes. Yes.
So, all right. So I think we handled this Khazar thing gracefully.
Yes.
Right. We've made clowns of the clowns once again.
That is correct.
So many clowns.
Now I can post this on BitChute and tag Cliff High and say, "Hey Cliff, stop."
Dude, is BitChute like a den of what did Obi-Wan say? You'll never see a more wretched hive of scum and villainy.
I think it's not like that. I think it's more like just half the people there are anti-Semites. At least half. And they just happen to hold the same opinions regarding Shmovit as you and I, which is like, okay, you know, it's just easy. Or they could be just paid, you know, pretenders.
Paid trolls.
Yeah, paid trolls or pretenders to make guys like you and I look like idiots.
Dude, I'm going to say two things.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, why couldn't they have become the vaccine fanatics?
Who?
That group, you know, the Khazarian
mafia. Why didn't they? Why didn't Hashem make them? Because they think that all the Jews are responsible for making, like I said in one of my videos, making this stuff, and so they're not going to take any put crap in their body that's made by the Jews.
But wait a minute.
Okay.
A lot of them used my brother's protocol,
sure.
Knowing that it was a Jew.
Do they? I mean, it seems like some of these people are doing a very good job of hiding the fact that it's your brother's protocol, or just plain physically hiding your brother.
Yeah.
You know, you mentioned that yourself. So it seems like if I didn't know any better,
it's a very simple look.
That someone is doing everything. Yeah. Sorry.
No, you go ahead.
I was going to say that somebody's doing everything in their power to give credit to someone else. I mean, I pointed this out to your brother. He said, doesn't really matter to me as long as people are, you know, whatever it is. But like, listen, it's messed up, man. You got to give credit where credit is due.
I don't care how he feels about it.
Yeah,
What's important is how I feel about it. Okay.
I know, yes.
So Pete, let's do a quick little experiment. Let's go. I'm on Getter. Peter McCullough. Let's see. Yeah. Let's see what we have here. Okay. Peter McCullough.
They had an episode together, him and your brother, actually. McCullough is not blocking him out.
No. That's not what I'm trying to say. You know, I can't find Peter McCullough. Okay, let's do Robert Malone.
Yeah. Okay.
Robert.
Oh, was it McCullough or Malone? It was Malone that had the episode together with him. Whatever.
They both did.
Yeah.
Why is Getter suck so bad? Like, why would it not, like, I wrote Robert Malone, and it's not showing me Robert Malone.
Mm-hmm.
Getter, get your shit together.
Yeah.
It's showing me David Icke. Why when I'm asking for Robert Malone? Yeah. I even clicked people. Okay? Yeah, 1 second.
Yeah.
Making me look bad. I was just trying to... Here's what I was trying to do. I wanted to show how many followers he had on social media. Right?
Who?
Robert Malone. It's much more than my brother. Right? Peter McCullough, much more.
For sure.
Right? All of these people got famous. Well, Robert Malone.
Well, Malone got famous because he went on the no. Yeah. He went on the Dark Horse and he was the mRNA guy. McCullough, sort of, yeah.
No, I'm not saying anything against them. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that, like, it's not. I don't think that that McCullough is more popular and better known than my brother because he's trying to suppress my brother. No, I don't think that's true for Malone.
No.
I just think that Malone and McCullough are being promoted much more.
Correct. I'm saying
by the machine
there are
because they're not a Jewy guy with a beard.
There are forces that are in charge of this on our side. There are, and they are promoting those guys more. That's it. It's as simple as that. You know.
Okay. Of course, they want to. They don't want to be. If they admit, if they look it fully in the face and they don't let people forget how it actually went down, that forces them to change.
Yeah.
That means they have to stop harboring what they really harbor in their heart about Jews.
Yeah.
Okay? So for anybody who wants to monitor that process, right, of the evil Jew hatred, right? Like seeping out of man, right? Just a good metric of it to see is how much credit is my brother being given for what's going on, or how much is he being overshadowed by people who aren't bearded Jewies?
I was gonna say, do you think it's just the fact that he's visibly an Orthodox Jew? Even if you think maybe if it was just like a secular Jew, it would be different?
I don't think so. But no, it probably would be a little different.
But then again,
not by much.
But then again, the way that your brother's doing everything. Hold on. Sorry.
No problem.
That was my father trying to convince me to open a
chicken restaurant.
Yes, that is. It's one that exists in Teaneck. And so for my father, the issue is that, you know, if you, let's say you're in a Jewish town like Fairlawn, and it's after 8:00, you know, and you want just like ready-made food, you don't want to schlep to ShopRite in Paramus and go get, you know, something you have to make. So what he's saying is there's nothing after 8, you're screwed. You know, if you got home from work after 8, you're screwed. You're dead. There's no Chinese open, there's no sushi open, nothing.
Yeah.
So he's like, why don't you open this Chickies place in Teaneck is open till like, on a regular day it's open till I think it's like 10 or 11. And on Motzei Shabbos they're open till like 2:00 in the morning because they open, you know, depending on when they're open till like 1. So he's just like, open this. I'm like, so I was like, I've been trying to convince my mother to open like because she's keeps complaining how there's no kosher Russian. You have to go to like Brooklyn to get like kosher Russian restaurant. We're talking about, you know, like King Solomon. There's a restaurant, Azerbaijani guy opened it. So I was like, why don't you open one in Fairlawn?
And it's not even Russian. It's more like Central Asian. It's
yeah,
like
but Russians go eat these. This is like, you know, this is what we eat anyway. So like, I said, why don't you open one in Fairlawn? If you build it, they will come. No, this. I've been telling her for like 8 years already. For 8 years. And so you heard my dad. He's like, well, I'm like, tell mom to open one. He's like, no, you do it. You can manage it. I'm like, no, I cannot. I cannot manage such a place. And I will not sit there. I will not manage it. I will do nothing. And like it. I am not experienced in the world of restaurants. I've seen enough from the world of wine, which is adjacent to the world of kosher food.
Yeah.
And I want to, you know, if these people weren't Jewish, I'd murder someone. And, or, you know, not kill them, but just get violent with someone for their behavior. And so I don't need to be any more ensconced in the food industry than I already am. I'm plenty ensconced. Thank you very much.
I like that word, ensconced.
Yeah.
Okay. So getting back, just quickly, touching back again on what. Yeah. So Robert Malone came along much later than my brother in this whole story. Okay. Yeah. All right. And all he really did was say, maybe you shouldn't maybe you shouldn't take the. This is, by the way, after my brother started saying that there seems to be issues with the vaccine. Okay, and then Robert Malone was saying, guys, maybe it might not be a good idea for people who are for young people. That's all he said.
Yeah, for kids.
Right. Okay. Which is great, by the way. That's a tremendous contribution. Okay. But he has 371,000 followers more. Okay. My brother.
This is on where? This is Telegram.
On Getter. On Getter.
Okay, fine.
I'm talking about just on Getter.
Yeah.
Okay. So my brother has. Right, and this doesn't bother my brother, but this bothers me a lot.
Yeah.
I'll be honest. Okay, maybe I'm petty. I don't care. It bothers me a lot.
Yeah.
And what's the message? The message is, we don't how. What does it mean? Getting to the mind of the average Christian, right?
Yeah.
What does it mean that God sent this life-saving information for the whole world through a religious Jew?
It means that
they don't want to look at that.
Yeah.
That's the problem. That's why Robert Malone has, approaching 400,000 followers on Getter, which has a total of 5 million users. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And my brother has. Let's see. Where is it? Oh, come on.
I don't even see Malone's. You're talking about McCullough. I don't even see Malone's.
No.
profile.
I'm talking about Malone. I'm not talking about McCullough.
I don't even see his.
I'll show you Malone in a second.
Oh, there we go. R.W. Malone.
Has...
Yeah. 371. R.W. Malone MD. 371.
Yeah. Okay.
And then you got McCullough. Oops. McCullough, who has something. I don't know.
My brother has 129,000.
Yeah.
Why doesn't he have? He really should have several million followers.
I know.
Like Joe Rogan. What's Joe Rogan? He has a podcast. He has a show.
Yeah. How many followers Rogan has?
Yeah, how many followers does he have? He's a guy. He's an entertainer
Getter,
with a show.
On Getter, he's got.
Yeah.
See, I don't understand this. Getter 1.3, total 9.2. What is that? What is 9.2?
Because that includes Twitter. If you click on total, you'll see where they're all from. They're from Twitter. No, but just on Getter. How much Getter does he have?
1.3. Okay.
And he doesn't even post.
I know. He last time he posted was January 10th.
Why? You said the reason. Why is Joe Rogan? Why is it?
Because it's Joe Rogan.
Much easier to look at Joe Rogan than it is my brother.
Because Sitra Achor fights your brother. That's why.
No, that's part of it. But what does that mean in detail? That means that non-Jews have to look at my brother. Okay. Yeah. With his Jewy face and his beard, okay, and his Hasidism and everything, and they have to wonder what's going on. Why is God doing this? I thought it was clear that these people were damned, and that maybe some of them, who kind of hang out with us, we can become our little pets and mascots. Maybe we can get them into heaven with us when the quickening occurs.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what that. Look, I'm kind of lampooning a little bit, but that's actually that if you want to boil down, if you want to cut through the shit, that's what they think.
Yeah. No, I hear. Listen, with that, all that said, he gave an amazing speech in one of those, one of those gatherings that they had, and they were really into it. They really took to his words.
Yeah, no, it's like
he captivated them.
The people who follow him, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking about the Christians.
Yeah.
Right? We're not discussing them. I'm discussing an idea of just this is a generality. Okay? There's the collective, let's say, if there is such a thing, the collective Christian mind. I'm not sure there is such a thing, but let's say, okay? Yeah. In America, at least in America, whatever, okay? It's not comfortable, okay, with the idea that, that it's a Jew, especially religious Jew.
Yeah.
A lot of them think that, oh, this is just another trick.
Yeah.
Okay? So that's why my brother has relatively so few followers, right? Think about his contribution. Think about Joe Rogan's contribution to the world. And see, do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay. It doesn't match.
Yeah. That's true.
Okay. Right. I got nothing against Joe Rogan except for the fact that he supported Bernie and that he threw Gavin McInnes under the bus and a couple other things.
Listen, man, this all has to...
But other than that, he's a great guy.
Listen, this all has to do... We know what it has to do with. It has to do with more the... Moshe ben Yosef is, chained up. And, your brother is clearly part of the Moshe ben Yosef thing. So... That
By the way, spoiler alert, Christians, American Christians.
Mm-hmm.
I think that the majority of you are lost tribe members. They just don't realize that, and you're gonna come around to the reality of that.
It's possible.
It's a little bit different than what you think is gonna happen.
It's possible that they will. Who knows?
No. I mean, to me, I'm quite certain. But as a finite human being, take that with a grain of salt, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't take it with a grain of salt, but you guys could. So, remember yesterday? We're gonna wrap this up soon, I guess.
Yeah.
Right? But remember yesterday? We were talking about like ladies getting mugged, right? And they're crossing the street, from when they're scared of black guys. Because most of the time they get mugged as black guys.
Yeah.
Let's add another demographic that they have to cross the street when they see them. Young white girls.
Yeah.
Did you see what I sent you?
When did you send this to me?
I sent this to you earlier today.
Hold on. Oh yeah. The psycho, Lauren Pazienza.
Yeah. So from now on, white old ladies.
Oh my God.
Okay. Now you have more people to worry about.
White leftist unhinged psychos.
Girls.
Demon beasts, like you call them.
Okay. And perhaps maybe even black old ladies should cross the street.
Yeah.
As well.
Absolutely insane. Absolutely insane.
Definitely Chinese old ladies.
Do we know what the relationship of this girl was to the lady? Maybe it was a student. Maybe she tortured her.
No, this singer, by the way, like I don't really know, but apparently this singer, she is a Broadway singing coach.
Okay.
And she had a reputation for being sweetest lady ever.
Is she? Does okay. That's absolutely insane.
This is pure. This is pure hatred. If this is to be believed.
Called 87-year-old Manhattan singing coach a bitch before delivering fatal shove. Oh my God. I want to read this.
Dude, I would take her. I would when I saw anybody who it's just
Listen. A high-flying socialite denounced the renowned 87-year-old singing coach as a bitch before delivering a lethal shove to the elderly stranger on a Manhattan sidewalk, and then callously watched as an ambulance took the dying woman away. Prosecutors charged Tuesday. Pazienza faces charges of manslaughter and assault for the cold-blooded attack that sent Barbara Mayer Gustern to her death in Chelsea at 8:25 p.m. on March 10th. Prosecutors said in her Manhattan criminal court appearance. She turned herself into the police earlier Tuesday after 12 days on the run, where she fled her Astoria apartment and hid out at her parents' Long Island home. The accused killer crossed the street, approached Gustern directly, calling her a bitch, and shoved her as hard as she's ever been hit. Assistant District Attorney Justin McNabby. The chilling account came directly from Gustern to a friend after the attack, which left the elderly victim bleeding profusely from the head. Before losing consciousness from her fatal injuries, so she was alive for a while, and then she was talking to her friend, and then she just... The heartless attacker was captured on security video having physical altercation with her fiancé 17 minutes after the assault. Then standing nearby and watching police and an ambulance remove a mortally injured target from West 28th Street near 8th Avenue. Doctors tried to perform life-saving surgery but could not restore brain function. Unbelievable. She faced up to 25 years in prison if convicted of killing the stranger. Pazienza, once a poor Jefferson, Long Island, was living in a high-end Astoria condo prior to her arrest, and only turned herself.
But hold on a second. Yeah. Hold on. Why was she arrested? She's actually in jail. I mean, this is New York. Why is she allowed to be in jail?
Exactly, because she's white. Her father refused to let the police inside and asserted his daughter is not at home, despite a tip to let the cops to the house. Pazienza then hired a lawyer before surrendering Tuesday to end her dozen days as a fugitive. Defendant has made every effort to avoid apprehension, the DA's office said in court papers. Pazienza was caught after the attack by an MTA surveillance camera at a nearby subway station where she hopped on a train back to Astoria and was identified by two friends from video taken in Penn Station. She believed the beloved singing coach struck her head on the ground and passed away at Bellevue from blunt force trauma. One second. The suspect said nothing as a detective. I'm trying to get like a thing of like, are they... Okay, a graduate of FIT. You hear this?
Fashion Institute of Technology.
Fashion
right?
School of Technology. Pazienza worked as communications and events coordinator in North America for the upscale French furniture and home accessory company Roche-Beaubois, according to an online profile. In a statement, the company said Pazienza resigned from her role at Roche-Beaubois in December 2021 and declined to make any additional comment. She was also an active presence in the city's social scene. Photos on the Guest of a Guest website, which aims to keep visitors in the know about people, places, and parties in your world, show her attending various art exhibition openings. One image from 2015 features a smiling Pazienza, her arm around a man in a jean jacket, posing in front of a painting in the Joseph Gross Gallery. Her name also traces back to an account on Tumblr, which displays more casual pictures of her with friends. In one, she and a lipstick woman grin broadly in front of the illuminated Empire State Building. Pazienza was engaged to marry fiancé Naveen Pereira this coming June, and the couple appeared to share the Astoria apartment. Their online wedding registry was taken down following her arrest, as were the suspect's social media accounts and her LinkedIn page, said McNabney. She has also ditched her phone at an aunt's house in an effort to dodge arrest. Neighbors in her Astoria dormant apartment building, Shore Towers, describe her as a problem tenant. It's not an aberration, said one neighbor who described herself as a mental health expert. There have been instances in the building. Oh, so this girl's a psycho. Another resident also knew Pazienza as a troubled woman. She complains a lot to the management office, and she has had friction with people in the building. The resident claimed, I feel sorry for her fiancé. He's a really nice guy, and now everyone wants him out of the building. Wow, because he lived with her. Defense attorney Arthur A. Dalla was granted a request for his client to receive a psychiatric exam. Oh, so she's probably going to get off on whatever, psychosis or something. Before insisting Pazienza was a 100% law-abiding citizen, he declared the fatal sidewalk shove was not akin to pushing someone off a cliff, pushing someone in front of a moving train. Aidala said the family would not be able to post bail on Tuesday, adding his client intended to plead not guilty to the charges. Koestler, in addition to Harry, worked with the Broadway cast of Oklahoma before the attack. She hosted several pals at her apartment to rehearse for an upcoming cabaret show. Her background in music and theater was extraordinary, and it prepared her to take on the challenges of all her students, wrote Koestler's student Diamanda Galas, the renowned singer and performance artist, in Facebook post. She was for many their New York mother, and she enjoyed being available to her students at all times. The victim's grandson, A.J. Koestler, told the news that his grandmom stepped up after his mother passed away when he was 10. She was my main mentor, and she really was my best friend. She lived life to the fullest, loved everything, everyone and everything, but music was always there. She was very much dedicated to becoming a singer and entertainer. Our funeral service for Koestler was scheduled for Saturday at Holy Apostles Church in Chelsea. On the block outside the victim's apartments, flowers and messages were attached to the gate of a private park. There are no words to describe the shock and horror. R.I.P. will never be forgotten. What is wrong with these freaking white psychos? There's something wrong with them. Do you know? Can you tell me?
I don't know, man. I don't know. Like, this is some kind of weird cult shit. Some kind of MK Ultra.
It's something from like a Manson. Charles Manson or some stuff like that.
That whole crew, you know, like the socialite.
Yeah.
That whole thing is like since Manson. I don't know if like the folks at home are familiar.
Yeah.
With Manson's connection to the CIA and all that kind of stuff. right?
Yeah.
So there seems to be indication that the CIA they kind of tried to use him to kill the whole hippie movement, right?
Yeah.
And they were doing some kind of weird psychological conditioning stuff on him.
Yeah.
And because Manson, he was like a presence in the late 60s in like the liberal hippie scene, right?
Yeah.
So he wanted to be in a band, he just wanted to be another famous singer. And then I'm not sure, it's a really murky story, okay?
Yeah.
But somehow they did something to him. They made him weird. He started a cult, scared everybody away from hippies.
Yeah.
So the whatever, if that was their intent, then they succeeded. Okay. So that whole thing, the whole like Manhattan socialite crap, is just a continuation of what happened in the 60s.
I know. Yeah.
Same people.
Yeah. God, there's nothing worse than a psycho leftist white chick. There's really nothing worse. I don't know. I don't know what else could be worse. I stay away. I'm on this app called Hinge. Hinge?
I think I've heard of it, but I'm not.
Or I was. I
I
deleted it. And they have an option. Just the fact that this app, just the fact that they do this, or maybe it's better good that they do this. They have an option to put if you're vaccinated or schmaccinated or not. And they let you leave an audio as part of your profile. So one of the audios that I left was something along the lines of, argue with me about whether or not schmantibodies are better than the schmaxine. So you would think that women that heard this audio, women who are schmaccinated, I guess they don't care so much for the schmaccination, even though they put that they're schmaccinated on their profile. But some of them, I don't know if they heard the audio, but they matched with me. Not matched, they liked because you just like somebody's pictures or profile. And I want to write to them. I'm like, first of all, do you know that some of them are not even Jewish. Granted, I finally changed my preferences to deal breaker Jew. They don't have Orthodox, they just have Jew. So I want to write to them. I'm like, do you know that I'm like a conservative? But here's the thing, I don't want to say conservative. I want to say anti-statist, because here in Israel, for example, the people who are pro the Shmeksin are the right-wingers. And in Israel, the right-wingers are statists. They believe in the state.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
It's a statism issue. It's not a left-right.
I don't understand. There is no real right wing in Israel unless you're anti the system of government.
Yeah, it's not what I'm trying to say is it's not this issue is not people made it out to be a right wing, left wing in America, which is very stupid. It's a statism, and it just so happens in America the people that support the state are left wing. In Israel, they're right wing. The right wingers are, because Rav Kook, the state is kadosh. You know what I'm saying?
No, but the left wing, they also they just don't like they want a separate type of status.
Yeah, but it's the left of. Listen, man, most of the people you're gonna find at these anti-Shmax protests in Israel are are Tel Aviv lefties, actually, or Tel Aviv non-aligned, what I call, okay, and some weird from people like myself. And Hasidim don't go to. They have their own protests. They don't go to our protests. So, dude, you would think these girls on Hinge, they would see I'm conservative. I'm not. It doesn't. I put not yet schmaccinated. They have an option yet.
Wow.
They don't have an option not. They have an option either yes or not yet. As if I'm going to, which I'm not.
Sick.
Sick. Yeah. So I'm thinking, should I get off this app? Should I stay? I don't know. I think I might just get off of it. Because at some point it's just like, no.
I mean, what is it like? Unless you're worried about it tracking you or something like that, what's the difference?
No, listen. Also, it seems like a lot of the girls on this app, they are the what I call the charmed life contingent. The charmed life girls?
I I can picture it.
You understand what I'm saying.
You know, Pilates at 5 and green smoothies at at 4, and you know, they have their structure, and you know, and they try to do good, but it's a charmed life.
Yeah. No, it's like I look at them and I'm just kind of like, maybe it's me, maybe it's just like I look at some of them and I'm like, I cannot provide for them. Like, I can't be the Ken to their Barbie. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I cannot be the Ken to their Barbie. They're looking for a Ken, or some version of a Jewish Ken. I can't.
Here's another way. Here's another way of saying that. Okay.
Okay.
There, you know, in Jewish circles, right? Like in America, right?
Yeah.
Probably elsewhere too. You have like societal systems.
Yeah.
Okay. So you, even like kind of like modern or secular Jews, they also sometimes they have this. They're in this system, and the girls that Greg is describing is somewhere in between that.
Yeah.
I am terrified. I can't survive in any system.
Yeah, same.
There's no possible way that I could be with a girl who is heavily dependent on, you know, being a member or a part of a system. I can't.
I know, me neither.
I can't, like one of the issues that I have, or one of the reasons why I could never see myself like dating normally, like what, you know, before, is because I can't like if I like you, I'm not buying your friends,
your
family, and your whole.
Yeah.
I don't care about. If I'm interested in some aspects of the things that you do in your life, I'll join you in that.
Yeah.
But I'm not taking that on.
Yeah. Dude,
I don't expect anybody to take my stuff on.
Can I tell you something? When up until like recently, what I found myself getting sucked into when I would date girls is becoming, maybe it's because I'm easygoing, I found myself becoming the boyfriend. Do you know what I mean? Like the boyfriend who is forced to hang out with the friends of the woman that I'm dating. And there's usually, on average, statistically speaking, one friend out of all of them that I like as a human being. The rest of them I could throw off of a rooftop. You know what I'm saying? Like women do not have cool friends. They're cool to them, but they're not cool to me. And I don't want to.
Ladies, if there's anybody that's listening to this, this is probably the only time you're ever going to hear this.
Yeah.
Okay. We don't like your friends.
We don't like your friends, and not only that,
like your friends.
We begrudgingly try to interact with the boyfriends and the husbands of your friends. And
you understand that?
In my case, listen, I end up trying
for play dates.
Yeah, it's like play dates, and I try to fit a square peg in a round hole, and I can't.
Dude, you're gonna think I'm crazy, and everybody's gonna think I'm crazy right now, right? But couples get-togethers make me very uneasy.
I want to puke.
I understand it's a little bit irrational. I understand.
No, it's not irrational, man.
Normal people think that's what, you know. No, that is not. First of all, it doesn't seem to be in line with Torah.
No, it's not in line with Torah, because you're not supposed to sit. You're not supposed to sit with another married couple, and then his wife is looking at you, and wondering, and his wife is looking at you, and then they go home and they're like, why can't you be more like him? Or my wife or my girlfriend says, why can't you be more like him? You see how he?
It is nothing but a cause of strife for the entire world.
Yeah, it's like what is it called? Shalom bias.
Gentiles, this is for you too.
Yeah, because they invented this shit.
Stop.
No, it's not two. They're the ones.
Stop it.
What?
No, they didn't invent anything. I'm just saying that it doesn't benefit anybody. Listen, basically, the idea is, and I think Greg would agree, I'm sure he would, that, the Torah says that that a guy is supposed to minimize the amount of time that he looks at women in general.
Yeah, Pirkei Avos. Also, don't talk to, a woman for more than 5 minutes.
Talk to your mom, talk to your sisters, talk to your wife, talk to your daughters, okay?
Yeah.
But women that you're not married to or you're not directly related to, and that in that way, don't look at them. Don't look at other people's wives. It's actually in the commandments, right? Don't covet your neighbor's wife.
Yeah.
Okay? One way to do that is to not look at it.
Yeah.
There's no reason to, unless you're saving her life and you need important critical information about her health, or you're doing some kind of vital, some kind of business transaction, okay? Yeah. There's absolutely no reason to have any type of social interaction with a woman that's not. I know what this sounds like. I know. Yeah. I know it sounds like Taliban. No one's saying that this is going to be imposed upon you. This is just advice.
Yeah.
Okay? So, because the mind, right? Whatever you see, the mind will absorb it. Okay? And again, we talked about the mind being another word for the evil inclination, right? Yeah. The mind isn't you.
Yeah.
The mind is going to use everything that it sees, and it's going to create little movies in your head that are not helpful.
Yeah,
okay?
Of course.
But that, remember what I said originally, that couples get-togethers make me uncomfortable?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This is why. It's not because of what you said.
Yeah.
It's because ever since I heard about the swingers thing, have you heard about the swingers thing? What do they call it? The lifestyle?
Mm-hmm.
Have you heard of this? You know what? You know where I found out about this?
There was a school board meeting.
On the construction site.
Okay.
One of the guys,
mm-hmm.
right? Not the apprentices, one of the guys, who was actually an awesome guy.
Yeah.
Okay? But he had that whole setup. He had that lifestyle. And he would talk about it and describe it. And it's just it felt like I was covered in grease after the conversation.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Now, I had heard about this idea before. I just hadn't, been confronted with it. It didn't pass through my head that often. But I got a real, healthy dose of this kind of, imagery, all right, during these long work days. Okay?
Yeah.
So it's just kind of like, why are we getting together so that you can look at my wife?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
Why do I have to look at your wife? Why do I have to deal with these issues?
Mm-hmm.
Is this helping us in any way? By the way, are we having fun pretending to be who we're not?
No.
To so that the women don't get uncomfortable? You know what I mean? This sucks.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Right? The ladies, you want to go hang out with your friends? All right, you know what I mean? It's weird, okay? It's not normal. It's weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, hanging out with your friends isn't weird. I'm saying the couples thing. That's just
I don't know. For me, it's like I literally I've gotten to a point where I'm just kind of I look at a girl. Let's say if it's on online or something. I look at a girl, and I'll see pictures of her with her friends. And if I'm not feeling that whole, again, it goes back to that whole thing, tell me who your friends are, tell me who you are. In general, even if they're women, if I'm not feeling the whole vibe of, the whole, group of people.
Yeah, ladies, your friends suck. Listen.
Yeah.
You have to understand, if you like a guy, right? And let's say you have a friend who, she's wild, she's crazy. You know what I mean? She just likes, she's a free spirit. That means she's going to send you, that means that as soon as we get into a fight, you're going to go hang out with her, and you're going to go get involved in her hoary activities.
Yeah.
I can't trust you.
Or at least tell her crap about me.
That's a different story. They can always find somebody for that. They got a sister, a mother, a white knight who can't wait to hear everything that they have to say. You know what I mean? Like that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's funky. It's greasy. You know, I know it's weird to describe it that way, but like I just have this kind of like queasy kind of like disgusting association with it. It's messed up.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if anybody listening to this, Alex, Denise, if you're into couples, socializing, I hope I've ruined it for you.
Yeah. I don't know.
Great.
So I think I'm just gonna get off of
Are you getting off of Humbler?
Hinge or whatever it's called? Yeah, I'm getting off of that stupid. No, just the fact that they're like not yet schmacks. Like what? You go flip yourself.
It's crazy, right?
Isn't that crazy? Not yet. I'm like, I didn't yet punch you in the face. You know, it's like.
That's like what they say about marriage. You know what I mean? Like, oh, do you have kids? Do you have married? Are you married? Not yet. Do you have any kids? Not yet.
Oh my God.
I've never heard that about anything. Now they tried to put back this poison death shot into that category, and that's just crazy, dude. We're losing this YouTube account. Like, like it's finished. You know what I mean? Like, folks, please just come to Rumble.
Yeah.
Come to Rumble. Wait, it's Rumble, right?
Schmumble. Yeah, Rumble. Schmumble.
No, I'm getting all mixed up. There's Tumblr, there's Humble, there's Rumble. Yeah. It's Rumble. RUMBLE. Okay. Please go and check us out there because we're definitely getting thrown off of YouTube.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Schmutu.
All right. By the way, no. You know what? I'm sorry. I was about to wrap it up, but dude, we forgot something really important last time.
What did you forget?
We'll do it real quick. 63. How the hell did we not talk about 63?
Well, this is 64
63
already.
is a huge number.
This is already 64, but we can talk about it.
I know, but we can't not talk about 63.
Fine.
Skirted over it.
Well, I mean, you said you have to be 9 by 9:30. You have like 7 minutes.
I know.
No, 6 minutes.
No, that's more than enough time.
Okay.
Okay, so, hang on a second. Come on, man. Come on, internet. Oh, God. All right, so there it goes. 63 by itself is a very important number because it's the shame sog. You hear me, Greg?
Yes.
You know what that means?
No.
So the shame, the name 63. So we talked about this a number of times. There's you have the tetragrammaton, the 4-letter name of God, right? Mm-hmm. The letter Yud, the letter Hey, the letter Vav, and the letter Hey. Again, right? Yud, Hey, Vav, Hey.
Yeah.
Okay. We've mentioned many times how each Hebrew letter it has a name. Yud, right? Yud, that's a name. It's made of letters. How do you spell the name of the letter Yud? Yud Vav Dal. Okay? Yud Vav Dal. Okay? So when you write a Hebrew word, but you write it with each letter, right? Spelling out its name, right? So that's called, in Hebrew, that's called milui.
Yeah.
Okay? Or it could be translated as revealing the hidden letters within the revealed letters.
Yeah.
Right? So you could picture like, you have the letter Yud, right? Picture just the letter Yud hovering in the middle of, in the sky or whatever, right? And you see a little string hanging down from it, right? You pull the string and the hidden letters kind of like, fall out, like pop down, like you see a Yud most of the time just by itself, but if you pull the string, you'll see that hidden within the Yud is Vav and Dal.
Yeah.
Okay? So that's how you spell the name of the letter Yud. Yud Vav Dal. Okay? And then the letter Hey is an interesting letter because there's 3 different ways of spelling its name. Okay? Sometimes when you see a big Hey hovering, in the sky, and you see the little string, you pull the little string and a letter Aleph is going to fall out of there.
Yeah.
Other times, when you see the letter Hey hovering in the sky, and you pull the little string, the letter Yud is going to fall out. And then another time, a third time, you pull the string from the letter Hey again, and you see another Hey falls out. Okay? So, And the same thing is true with the letter Vav. Okay, so to make a long story short, you have, when you take that into account, okay, and you spell each of the letters of the name of God, right? But in its fulfillment, right? When you actually write out the name of the letter, not just the letter itself, but the name of the letter, right? So you get 4 versions of the Tetragrammaton, the 4-letter name of God, okay? So the first one is spelled like this: Yud Vav Dalid, Hey Yud, Vav Yud Vav, Hey Yud. Okay, that's called the name 72, because if you add up all those letters that I just said, you get the number 72. Okay, the second version of the 4-letter name of God, when we do it in this way that we talked about, is like this: Yud Vav Dalid, Hey Yud, Vav Aleph Vav, Hey Yud. Okay, so it's almost the same as the one that we just mentioned, except that the Vav is different. Okay, so it's Vav Aleph Vav instead of Vav Yud Vav. Okay, so when you add up the second version that we just said, that's the name 63. So all of these names are really big. They're they're a big deal when it comes to the calculations and the mathematical precision of the Torah. Everything kind of what's the word? It flows out of these 4 names of God, right? That it's actually absolutely shocking. It's part of that whole mathematical divine precision of the text of the Torah. This is associated with it, so it's important to know. And so yesterday was episode 63. So you can't talk about 63 without talking about the name 63.
Yep.
Or in Hebrew, the Shem Sag. Okay. Now, here we have the Trugmans opened up. I'm going to do 63 really quick. So that's Samech Gimel Sag, right? Samech Gimel. All right. Let's see. Okay. So the first hit is in Genesis chapter 4, verse 21. Okay, where it's the words Avi Kol, the father of all. Okay. The second is Saba. How do you spell Saba as in like grandfather? Because this one is Samech Bet Aleph.
1 second, I'll tell you. Second. Hebrew. It's Samech Bet Aleph. Yeah, Samech Bet Aleph.
Okay, so the first occurrence of the 63 gematria in the Hebrew scripture is in Genesis chapter 4, verse 21, which is Avi Kol, which means the father of all. As if that wasn't insane enough, okay? So the second occurrence is in Genesis chapter 10, verse 7, where Saba means grandfather. I'm starting to pick up a pattern here. I don't know about you, Greg.
Yeah.
Greg falls asleep when we talk about that.
I'm not asleep at all. I'm in my chair and I'm wide awake. But I will just tell you that Hillary Clinton...
But I've been hurt, Greg.
Hillary Clinton, Jen Psaki, and Schwab all got COVID. And so did Shmo Mama. Within 2 days of each other. Either they went to the same event, or they're all lying and they're all telling us to take the third.
They went to the same water buffalo event. Who's the Grand Poobah?
I don't know.
People that's a Flintstone reference.
Yes.
The Flintstones they had a secret society, a fraternal order called the Water Buff. Was it the Water Buffaloes?
Yeah.
The Water Buffaloes and the leader, it was called the Grand Poobah.
Yeah.
Bad rock. All right, I'm gonna call the rabbi.
All right, sir. Enjoy.
Thank you, man.
All right, sir.
I'm gonna go meet the rabbi at the Regal Beagle.
All right. Oh my God. Hopefully, Chrissy doesn't come.
No, I told Christy not to come because she make him uncomfortable. So
what about Vinny?
No, nobody can come.
So how many?
Larry can come. Larry can come because Larry has to be Jewish. He's a Jew. He eats a Khazar and he doesn't keep Shabbos. We have to get him on track. So Larry, get your ass to the Regal Beagle. To the Regal Beagle. I was about to say the Water Buffalo Club. The Regal Beagle.
Yeah. All right, sir.
When I start getting the Regal Beagle mixed up with the Water Buffalo Club, I'm getting a little tired.
Yeah.
That's how you know it's over.
Yeah. Well, ask the rabbi how many Bali Tshuva he made. If it's as many as me.
I will ask.
Okay, sir. Ask. Okay, sir. Don't go to Gehenna.
I try not to.
Okay. Hopefully Cliff High will like our work.
I wouldn't hold my breath.
Hello, Cliff. How are you today?
I wouldn't hold my breath.
I agree with you 99% of time, Cliff, except for your stupid Khazar comments. But we will change that.
People are idiots.
Okay.
All right.
Laila Tov, sir.
Arrivederci.
Arrivederci.
Arrivederci, baby. That's from Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
Oh, that's fun.
You can do it. I can't do it.
I can't. I gotta practice. I gotta practice my Pee-wee. That's the only one I haven't been able to do. But I could do Pacino and Glenn Ross. I have something that might help him to catch you, you fairy. You company man. I'm going to Lemkin. I'm going to Mitch and Murray. I don't care who you know, who you are.
Cut. I gotta go.
All right.
All right.
Bye.